Chapter 1051. Brother Xian, are we just going to let him continue to be arrogant? Wang Li and the others were unconvinced. Don't worry, if he comes looking for trouble, I'll let him know that a 7th-grade alchemist is nothing. Lin Xian's mouth curled into a sneer. Seeing this smile, Wang Li and the others breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Looking at the situation, Lin Xian didn't seem to be afraid of the 7th-grade alchemist. Let's go, the reception is almost done. I think the auction should be starting soon. Lin Xian looked at the time and said in a deep voice. Then, they also walked into the auction. After entering the auction, Lin Xian directly went to the 3rd floor. There was a VIP room there that was specially built for him, because from there he could clearly see every scene in the auction, taking in everything in a panoramic view. After entering the VIP room, Lin Xian looked down through the huge crystal glass. The entire main hall was filled with a sea of people. The black mass of heads was everywhere. The 100,000 seats were all filled. In addition, every VIP room was filled with important figures. Damn, that Taoist golden crow really came. Wang Li looked down and said with a face full of fear. Sure enough, Lin Xian saw the old Taoist golden crow sitting in the middle. The warriors around him were also experts, but at this moment, in front of the old Taoist golden crow, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. This old Taoist golden crow is definitely here for the throne stone tablet. Wang Li and the others' mouths twitched. Although there were many rare treasures in this auction, there was no doubt that the king's stone tablet was the final treasure. Lin Xian looked down and was also surprised. That old man can't be an elder of the Shun family, right? His eyelids twitched in shock because that old man was too terrifying. There were 108 rings of light behind him that were very bright, like a Buddha. Lin Xian had seen this kind of cultivation technique on Shen Yaotian, but compared to this old man, it was like the difference between a firefly and the moon. This terrifying old man was surrounded by a group of people and entered the VIP room. Damn, look at that person, he actually has 3 heads. Wang Li pointed at a figure below who was walking with a majestic gait. They are from the Divine Bird Palace. Lin Xian's gaze was slightly gloomy. He had some conflicts with this sect before. Back then, he had killed many disciples of Divine Bird Palace. He thought that this sect was nothing, but now it seemed that it was not so simple. There was definitely a reason why the other party could become a powerful rank 6 sect. Just the strength of the few people below was too terrifying. Although it was said to have 3 heads, it was actually 1 human head and 2 divine bird phantoms. However, the illusory image was too solid, as if it was real. These 3 heads contained the power of wind, fire, and lightning respectively. Lin Xian could even feel the power of his martial soul from the 3 heads. Could it be the triplet martial soul? Lin Xian's eyelids twitched when he thought of this possibility. If his guess was correct, then the warriors of the Divine Bird Palace were absolutely powerful. A group of people from the Divine Bird Palace also walked into a VIP room in a grandiose manner. At this time, Lin Xian's gaze also moved away from the warriors of the Divine Bird Palace and looked in another direction because he felt a sharp sword chi. That aura was too powerful, as if a peerless divine sword had appeared in the world. Who is that middle-aged man? So terrifying. Wang Li said with a frightened face. Just looking at the other party caused his eyes to hurt and his body to feel like it was being split open. He should be from the Deity Sword Villa. Lin Xian said. In the Tianwu continent, he could not think of a second sect other than the Deity Sword Villa that had such a powerful sword chi. Looking at the figure, Lin Xian was moved. He felt that the great dragon sword soul in his body was unusually loud. Taking a deep breath, he operated his mysterious art and suppressed the great dragon sword soul. The other party was too terrifying. He did not deliberately mobilize his aura, but just the overflowing aftermath could cause the great dragon sword soul in his body to fluctuate. This was absolutely shocking. One by one, the big shots walked into the auction house and then entered the VIP rooms. Soon, Lin Xian saw that Murong Qingqing had also arrived, along with Ancestor Qiyu. However, these people were accompanying an old man with a head full of white hair. The old man bowed with his hands behind his back, as if he was an ordinary old man. There was nothing unusual about him. However, Ancestor Chiyu followed behind him very respectfully. This was enough to show that the old man was extraordinary. When all the experts entered the VIP rooms, the entire auction house was extremely lively. A low and deep voice rang out, echoing throughout the auction hall. Suddenly, the entire auction house quieted down. Countless people looked forward in anticipation because they knew that the auction was about to begin. At the front, there was an auction stage made of 1,000-year-old purple spirit wood. On it, 2 real dragons were carved, circling each other, fighting for a dragon pearl. The entire auction stage was emitting a light purple light. It was abnormally gentle and emitted a mysterious power. An old man with a sage-like demeanor walked up to the auction stage, smiling as he looked around. Lin Xian had seen this old man before. He was an elder of the 10,000 Treasure Hall and was invited to host this auction. 12 beautiful girls were divided into 2 rows. Each of them held a wooden box made of purple spirit wood in their hands and covered it with a red cloth. Obviously, these 12 wooden boxes contain the items that were going to be auctioned. The items that were going to be auctioned at the beginning wouldn't be too valuable, which was why the big shots didn't take a fancy to them. However, these items weren't ordinary either. One could tell from the reactions of the ordinary cultivators. The old man with a sage-like demeanor was obviously an expert at auctioning. With just a few words, he stirred up the atmosphere of the auction house. Soon, 3 items were successfully auctioned off, and the atmosphere of the auction house was completely livened up. The auctioneer looked at the bustling hall and smiled. Then, he said in a clear voice, "The next item to be auctioned is a type of pill. It was concocted by an outstanding disciple of our academy." Hearing that it was a pill concocted by a disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy, the big shots instantly lost interest. In their opinion, what kind of pill could a little disciple concoct? But in the next moment, they were in an uproar because the auctioneer continued. This pill was called the Purple Spirit Pill and was a 7th grade pill. Its effect was very special. It could allow the cultivator to enter an ethereal state. In this state, the cultivator could repair and perfect their martial soul. What? A 7th grade pill. Repair the martial soul. Hearing this, all the cultivators in the hall were completely shocked. Then, all sorts of discussions broke out. It can't be. Isn't this a pill concocted by a disciple? How could it be a 7th grade pill? Did I hear wrongly? Yeah, this is too unbelievable. Why do I feel that this isn't real? It can even cultivate the martial soul. Is there really such a miraculous pill? Chapter 1052. At this moment, the auctioneer said indifferently, "Everyone, the Immortal Martial Academy has a reputation. Do you still need to doubt it?" Hearing this, everyone's hearts were completely at ease. That's right, this was the Immortal Martial Academy, one of the top forces in the Tianwu continent. How could they lie? After confirming the authenticity of the information, these people became excited once again. Their eyes were burning with excitement. They had never heard of a pill that could improve one's martial soul. However, just by hearing the effects, they knew that this thing was extremely rare. Not only those martial artists, but even some 5th or 6th heavenly layer venerables were also excited. They quickly bid, wanting to get this pill. 40 million, 50 million. Don't fight, I'll bid 80 million. Fuck, you want to buy this pill with 80 million? Dream on, I'll bid 100 million. Everyone started to compete and raise the price. Moreover, those who bid were all experts of the older generation. Those of the younger generation looked at each other with bitter smiles. They realized that they couldn't get involved at all. Looking at this fiery scene, Lin Xian revealed a smile. He knew that the purple spirit pill's effects were great, but he didn't expect it to be so popular. Those experts of the older generation were all madly bidding as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Wang Li was also extremely excited when he saw this scene. I originally thought that only the younger generation was interested, but I didn't expect the older generation to bid so crazily. This was normal. In fact, these people of the older generation were the ones who really needed the purple spirit pill. Because their cultivation had reached a certain height and reached a bottleneck, it was extremely difficult for them to improve further. Moreover, they weren't young anymore. Some of them had even lived for hundreds of years. It was obvious that their talent had reached its limit. Unless they had a fortuitous encounter or a heavenly treasure, they would be able to improve further. Now that there was such an opportunity, how could they give it up? In the end, the pill was sold for 300 million mid-grade spirit stones. Lin Xian had refined a total of 3 purple spirit pills and bought them separately. Therefore, the price of the remaining 2 pills didn't decrease but increased by a lot. The second pill was sold for 350 million mid-grade spirit stones. The third pill was even more shocking, reaching 400 million. This made Lin Xian extremely shocked. In just a short while, more than 1 billion had already entered his account. This kind of money-making speed could be said to be godly. Lin Xian was in a good mood. At this time, on the auction stage, the auctioneer laughed again. The next item to be auctioned had an extraordinary origin. It was an ancient artifact. An ancient artifact. Hearing this, everyone's interest was piqued. Even the big shots in the VIP rooms were surprised. Seeing the crowd's reaction, the auctioneer smiled. Then, he clapped his hands, and 6 girls walked out from behind. These 6 girls were not weak, but at this moment, they looked very strained. With every step he took, the ground shook slightly. Seeing this scene, everyone was surprised. They all stretched their necks and looked forward. It was a pagoda with a total of 6 levels. It was completely black, but looking at it now, it was indeed dim. There were even some damages on the surface. Incomplete? Many people looked disappointed when they saw the damaged pagoda. The VIPs in the VIP rooms, in particular, immediately lost interest. Some people were even dissatisfied. How could a broken item be put up for auction? That's right, what's the use of this thing? Everyone was dissatisfied. However, the auctioneer was not displeased at all. Instead, he said with a smile, "Everyone, don't jump to conclusions. This is an ancient artifact. Even if it's an ancient artifact, it's still broken. I'm afraid its effect is not as good as a mid-grade spirit-grade artifact." Many people still shook their heads. However, some of the older generation people looked suspicious because the auctioneer had mentioned an ancient artifact twice in a row. Could it be that there was something special about this pagoda? Could you explain in detail? One of the older generation people asked. Hearing this, the auctioneer smiled slightly and continued. This pagoda was found in an ancient ruin. The ancient ruin was very old, at least 10,000 years old. 10,000 years. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. This was not a short period of time. In fact, it could be said to be very long. One had to know that a king could live for at most 3,000 years. One could imagine how long 10,000 years was. Therefore, hearing this, everyone fell silent and listened carefully. The auctioneer continued. We've confirmed that this pagoda was refined by an expert who was half a step into the king realm. The pagoda contains extremely profound inscriptions, and these inscriptions are all ancient inscriptions. Everyone was shocked when they heard the auctioneer's words. Half a step into the king realm. Such a figure was extraordinary. After all, king realm experts were the overlords of the heavens and the earth. There were only a few king realm experts in the entire Martial Sky continent. Moreover, no new king realm experts had appeared in the last few thousand years. So, it was obvious how difficult it was to become a king realm expert. Half a step into the king realm was sufficient to prove one's terrifying natural talent. So long as nothing unexpected happened, one would become a true king realm expert in the end. This kind of person was absolutely shocking and brilliant. So, the treasured artifact refined by that person was definitely a shocking treasure. At this moment, it wasn't just the ordinary cultivators who were shocked. Even the great figures in the VIP rooms couldn't remain calm. Even though they were great figures, they were still very far away from the king realm. It was even to the extent that they didn't know if they would be able to touch that boundary in their lifetime. Now, if they were able to obtain a half-step king realm treasure, they would even have the chance to comprehend the inscriptions of the laws within it. Since they had the chance to approach the king realm, just thinking about such a thing made them excited. Because becoming a king realm expert was every cultivator's wish. So, those great figures couldn't sit still and made their moves. 300 million. The Shun clan bid 500 million. The Deity Sword Villa bid quickly 700 million. These were the experts of the Deity Bird Palace. When they heard this price, the expressions of most cultivators changed. It couldn't be helped. This price was too terrifying. It was calculated in the hundreds of millions. Not many people could accept such a price. Those cultivators smiled bitterly because they didn't even have the chance to bid. Lin Xian was also shocked. He hadn't expected such a precious item to appear so quickly. Moreover, these prices were really too high. Looking at the price, it wasn't lower than a half-Earth rank treasure at all. It was even higher. The great figures of the king clans bid a few times and didn't say anything else. Because there were true kings in their clans, they weren't too excited about a half-step king realm treasure. However, it was different for the others. After all, there were only a few king clans, and the others didn't have the chance to comprehend a king realm treasure. Especially those rank 6 sects, all of them were envious. Their forces were powerful, and they were only inferior to the king clans. If they could obtain this treasure, perhaps a true king realm expert would appear in their sect. Chapter 1053. The eyes of those rank 6 sects were all red. They were powerful and were only second to the king clans. If they could get their hands on this item, a true king clans might appear in their sect. At that time, they would no longer be rank 6 sects but king clans. Because this broken pagoda might be related to whether they had the chance to become king clans. Therefore, this was a great opportunity for them. No one could resist this temptation. Therefore, at this moment, the eyes of the rank 6 sects were all red and they went crazy. In the end, the broken pagoda was bought by the Deity Sword Manor at a price of 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. This price was even more expensive than when Lin Xian bought the Lone Star Sword. This was just a broken pagoda. One could imagine how much it would cost if it was a complete pagoda. This was a king clans. Anything that was related to a king clans was a treasure that defied the heavens. In the VIP room, Lin Xian was shocked when he saw this scene. He did not expect the academy to auction such a precious item. This was really a big deal. Perhaps only a top force like the Immortal Martial Academy could have such a background. On the purple spiritual wood stage, the auctioneer nodded his head in satisfaction. Finally, he said loudly, the next item to be auctioned is also very precious. It can be said to be extinct. Extinct? Hearing this, everyone was stunned and showed an interested expression one after another. Because of the previous experience of the pagoda, everyone was very confident in this auction. Since the auctioneer said that it was extinct, it might really be extinct. What exactly was it? Why was it so mysterious? Extinct? Could it be some kind of spiritual medicine? Someone was puzzled. As expected, when this was said, many people nodded their heads and discussed. Of course, some people said that it was some kind of cultivation technique. In any case, the entire auction house was once again in an intense discussion. Lin Xian was also surprised. He frowned and was also thinking about what this extinct item was. The auctioneer took a deep breath and took out a wooden box and gently rubbed it. Then he slowly opened the wooden box. Suddenly, a strong fragrance gushed out and filled the entire hall. What is this smell? It smells so good. Even the bigwigs in the VIP rooms sat up straight when they smelled the fragrance. They looked ahead with solemn expressions. Inside the wooden box, there was a stalk of spirit medicine. It was only the size of a palm and had a strange shape. Its entire body was emitting a stream of light. This is... Seeing the elixir, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He was too shocked. Because he had seen this thing before and he had just seen it. It was in that mysterious underground world that he had seen this plant. Back then, the dark red divine dragon had wanted to pluck it, but it had caused a lot of trouble. But he didn't expect to see it again at this auction. This was too inconceivable. One had to know that the underground world was extremely terrifying. Everywhere was filled with shocking murderous intent. There were even terrifying 1,000-year-old zombies. It could be said to be a forbidden area. Moreover, that place had been buried underground for thousands of years. No one knew about it at all. But what he didn't expect was that the Immortal Martial Academy actually knew of that place, and even obtained the spiritual medicine from there. Lin Xian was amazed. Indeed, this was a stock of extinct spiritual medicine. To tell the truth, we haven't researched what kind of spiritual medicine this is because there are no records of it. But it contains such a shocking amount of energy. It's definitely rare. The auctioneer elder said. A spiritual medicine that had never been seen before. Hearing this, the crowd was shocked. Because even without the auctioneer elder's explanation, they could feel the dense energy aura coming from it. But very quickly, there were people who voiced their doubts. Why would such a precious spiritual medicine be auctioned? Yeah, even those bigwigs were puzzled. This was different from the broken treasure pagoda. That treasure pagoda might have already been studied by the immortal martial academy, and it was useless to keep it. But spiritual medicine was different. It would only be effective after consuming it. And if one's luck was heaven-defying, they could even wait for the seed to be planted again, allowing this extinct item to reappear in the world. But very quickly, they understood. Because the auctioneer elder sighed and said in a low voice, "To be honest, although this spiritual medicine is unique, it also has a flaw. Please take a look." After speaking, the auctioneer elder waved his hand. A ball of gentle light lifted the entire spiritual medicine and floated it up into the air. Instantly, the crowd saw the entire situation clearly. The top of the spiritual medicine was intact, but there was no root at the bottom. Seeing this scene, many bigwigs shook their heads and sighed. This situation made them very disappointed because they originally wanted to buy it and bring it back to their family to plant. Maybe they could grow another spiritual medicine. But now, it seemed that it was impossible. Because without the root, this spiritual medicine couldn't even survive, let alone reproduce. Moreover, the root contained a large amount of essence, but now it was missing. But this made them even more shocked because a spiritual medicine without the root actually still had such powerful energy. This was really too inconceivable. And at this time, the auctioneer elder put away the spiritual medicine again and said in a low voice, "The starting price is 1 billion spiritual stones." 1 billion. The crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. This price was too heaven-defying, comparable to a half-earth step treasure. And this was only the starting price. Who knew how high the final price would be? After the auctioneer elder finished speaking, someone started to bid. 1,100,000,000. The one who bid was the Divine Bird Palace. The middle-aged expert's voice was cold. 1,500,000,000. A loud voice sounded with scorching energy. Everyone's hearts palpitated as they looked at the center because the one who bid this time was Taoist Master Golden Crow. The middle-aged expert from the Divine Bird Palace also frowned slightly. His gaze was like a sharp blade as he looked at the center. Taoist Master Golden Crow snorted coldly, not afraid at all. Everyone was shocked. These two were both experts of the demonic clan. There was no need to mention Taoist Master Golden Crow. Just a few days ago, everyone had witnessed his strength with their own eyes. He was a powerful existence that killed a 6th-level venerable with a single move. The Divine Bird Palace was also incomparably powerful. One had to know that the other party was a 6th-rank sect, an existence second only to the king families. What was even more coincidental was that both of them were of the Demon Clan, and they were of the Demon Bird Clan. At this moment, the two of them were competing, which was quite shocking. However, this scene didn't last long before it was broken because the bigwigs in the VIP rooms had all made their moves. It couldn't be helped. Many of these bigwigs were elders with white hair, and they were very old. Some of them were even close to the limit of their lives. It could be said that they didn't have much time left. And now, this spiritual medicine contained powerful energy that might allow them to live for a few more years. No one wanted to die, and these bigwigs were no exception. Chapter 1054. Among them, some were already nearing the limit of their lives. It could be said that they did not have much time left. And now, this peerless spirit medicine contained powerful energy that might allow them to live for a few more years. No one wanted to die, and these big shots were no exception. Therefore, in the face of such temptation, these people could not remain calm. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian was equally astounded. Even though it was a damaged elixir, The amount of energy it contained was way too horrifying. It was definitely enough to make these big shots go crazy. He was excited because he also picked a spirit fruit in the mysterious underground forbidden area. Moreover, it was a complete spirit fruit that he had already refined into spirit wine. He wondered how crazy these big shots would go if he took out the spirit wine. Of course, he would not take it out. He had to slowly taste this kind of good thing. Moreover, she did not lack spirit stones. Now that she had it in the auction, it could be said that it was extremely easy to earn spirit stones. This was the world. Spirit stones were easy to earn, but rare treasures were extremely hard to come by. In the end, even the big shots from the king families could not sit still. The Shen family's elder made a strong move and participated in the auction. The elder from the Murong family was even more terrifying. He increased the price by 500 million in one go. This speed of increase made everyone's scalp tingle. They did not dare to bid anymore. Lin Xian was also extremely shocked. He did not expect these big shots to be so obsessed with this peerless spirit medicine. You still don't understand now. In the future, you will know what a stock of peerless spirit medicine means to these old guys. The dark red dragon said, humans are like this. The longer they live, the more afraid they are of death. And now, there was something that could prolong their lives. This was enough to make these people go crazy. Lin Xian indeed did not understand because he was still young, not even 20 years old. Moreover, he was exceptionally talented, so he did not have to worry about his lifespan. However, these big shots were different. Many of them had lived for too long. Now that their lifespans were about to end, they were more afraid of death than anyone else. 5 billion. A shocking voice resounded in the hall, stunning everyone. Countless martial artists' eyelids twitched wildly. Their minds went blank. They could not even believe their ears. 5 billion. This price was too terrifying. One had to know that it was not a complete peerless spirit medicine. The ordinary martial artists felt their scalps go numb, and the big shots in the VIP rooms also had gloomy expressions. The price had already exceeded their expectations. Lin Xian was equally shocked. He turned around and saw that the figure was coming from the VIP room where Murong Qingqing was. Needless to say, the one who bid must be the old man from the Murong family. At this moment, in the VIP room, the old man's face was calm, and there was not a trace of emotion. It was as if 5 billion spirit stones were not worth mentioning before him. This price made everyone's expression change, and no one bid again. In the end, the peerless spiritual medicine was obtained by an old man from the Murong family. Afterwards, the auction continued, and it became more and more lively because all kinds of rare treasures emerged one after another. Furthermore, as time passed, everyone became more and more excited. That was because they knew that it was about time for the final supreme treasure to appear. Sure enough, the auctioneer's expression turned solemn as he said in a deep voice, "Everyone, the next item to be auctioned is the finale of this auction. I am certain that the value of this treasure far surpasses any of the previous items." Hearing this, everyone became excited, and even the big shots could not remain calm. That was because this time, they came for the finale treasure. In the VIP room, Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. He knew what the finale treasure was, but he had never seen it before. This time, he could take the opportunity to see this legendary treasure. However, this made him even more shocked. As expected of an immortal martial technique, even such a heaven-defying item was willing to be auctioned. Everyone's gaze shifted to the front, to the auctioneer's elder. They saw the auctioneer take out the final item. It was a stone tablet, and it was half the height of a person. It was abnormally simple, and there were traces of time engraved on it. It was an item from ancient times. This was nothing. After all, they had all seen antiques before. However, what shocked them was that they felt an indescribable aura from the stone tablet. It was very profound, and no one could describe it clearly. They could only faintly sense it, but when they wanted to sense it more clearly, they discovered that they could not grasp it at all. This feeling was too profound, and it made them feel as if they were dreaming. Lin Xian was the same. However, his spirit power was more outstanding, and he could sense it more clearly than the others. However, even with that, he was still unable to sense what the stone tablet was trying to convey. Even the big shots had sunk into contemplation, and it was as if they had entered a meditative state. For a moment, the entire auction hall was terrifyingly silent. In the auction hall, the only person who was not affected was the dark red divine dragon. That was because he was very powerful to begin with, and had reached the king realm. However, due to some special reason, his cultivation had dropped. However, only his strength had dropped, and his comprehension had not dropped. Thus, he was able to clearly sense the aura emitted by the king tablet. "What is written on it?" Lin Xian asked. "It can only be sensed and not explained." The dark red divine dragon shook his head and looked like a charlatan. This caused Lin Xian to gnash his teeth with hatred. However, he could do nothing about it. He knew that it might be true because the aura was too profound. With his current cultivation, he was utterly unable to comprehend it. If he forcefully comprehended it, it might be dangerous. So, he quickly calmed down. Because he knew that with his natural talent, he would be able to enter the king realm sooner or later. What he had to do was to make that time come quickly. At the front, the auctioneer softly coughed and broke the silence. The ordinary cultivators were jolted awake, and they had lingering fear on their faces. Earlier, they seemed to have fallen into a strange dream, and if it wasn't for that light cough, they might have lost themselves forever. On the other hand, the big shots sighed because such a good opportunity to comprehend the aura had been interrupted. However, their eyes were filled with excitement, and they flickered with light. Because they were sure that it was real now. It really was the king tablet, and only such a thing could emit such an aura. When they thought up to here, their eyes burned with desire, and even their breathing became hurried. They had to obtain such a heaven-defying treasure. The members of the 6th rank sects were extremely excited because the king tablet was even more precious than the damaged pagoda from before. Moreover, it was countless times more precious. After all, the pagoda from before was only refined by a quasi-king, and it wasn't a true king tablet. Chapter 1055. Facing the real king's tablet, no one could remain calm. It was as if they had been injected with chicken blood, all of them competing to bid. The starting price of the king's tablet was 3 billion, but Lin Xian knew that the final price would definitely be more than that, because the price had already risen to 5 billion. Now, those who were still bidding were the king's families and some 6th rank sections. 5 billion. The Shen family's elder bid. As a king's family, he was determined to get the king's tablet, so his bid was also very fierce. 7 billion. The Murong family's elder bid, his voice still calm. These were two giants, both king's families, competing with each other at this moment. 8 billion. However, at this moment, another voice rang out. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that there would still be people who dared to compete at this time. Didn't they see that the 6th rank families had already given up? There was no other way. In front of king's families, everyone had to lower their heads. However, now, there was actually someone who dared to compete. In an instant, everyone's gaze was on the VIP room, wanting to see who was the one behind it. Even Lin Xian was very curious, squinting his eyes. "Who is in that VIP room?" Lin Xian asked. "It's the Blood Realm Martial Honorables people. According to our investigation, the faction behind this person is the Palace of Ares." Palace of Ares. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. No wonder they dared to compete with the Shen family and Murong family. It was the Palace of Ares behind them. One had to know that the Palace of Ares was also a king's faction, not inferior to the other two at all. At this moment, the martial artists outside also heard the news, and they immediately exclaimed, "Palace of Ares, they've made a move, they've really made a move. I didn't see anyone from the Palace of Ares before. I thought they wouldn't come, but I didn't expect them to appear at the last moment. I heard that the Palace of Ares isn't very peaceful now. It seems like it's going to split. I wonder which faction this person belongs to? Those who appeared in the Blood Realm must be from the Honorable Martial Honorables faction." Everyone was very excited as they discussed. In the crowd, the Liu family's people were also very excited, because the person who bid was from the same faction as them. They were young Master Ling Feng's men, and that person was Wu Zun's man, and young Master Ling Feng was Wu Zun's son. Therefore, they were in cahoots with the person who had bid. If their people could obtain the king's steel, then their strength would increase by a large margin. However, at that moment, another aged voice sounded. 5.9 billion. What? The crowd was in an uproar. Raising the price by 200 million all of a sudden was too extravagant, wasn't it? Which side was this deity from? The entire hall was in an uproar. They did not expect things to turn out this way. Originally, everyone thought that only the Murong clan and Xinjia, the two king clans, were competing. Unexpectedly, the Palace of Gods of War also joined the competition. But now, a new force had joined. At this moment, the situation in the entire auction house was extremely strange. It seemed that until the final moment, no one knew who would obtain the king's steel. The faces of the grade 6 sects turned gloomy. Although they could afford the price of 5.9 billion, they knew that the final price would definitely not be that high. Although they were powerful, they could not compete with the king clans in terms of wealth. Therefore, those grade 6 sects gave up on bidding. In the VIP room, the big shots of the Murong clan and Shen family frowned. This series of unexpected events made them feel that things were out of their control. However, the other middle-aged man was even more furious. He was the representative of the Palace of Gods of War who had bid before. This time, he was under the orders of the Marshal Honorable. He had to bring the king tablet back, and he had to do it at all costs. Now, another person had appeared to compete with him. Moreover, what made him even more furious was that he was extremely familiar with this voice. This was because the other party was also from the Palace of Gods of War, but it was his enemy force. The Palace of Gods of War had fallen into a very bad state. The Vice Palace Master took advantage of the Palace Master's seclusion to start a war, wanting to seize power. Therefore, the Palace of Gods of War was now divided into two factions. One faction was led by the Vice Palace Master, which was the faction that Wu Zun and young Master Ling Feng were in. The other faction was the faction that supported the Palace Master of Gods of War. Now, these two factions were locked in a fierce battle. Moreover, both sides had their eyes on the king's steel at the same time. This steel was extremely important to them because both factions had heaven-defying venerables, and they would soon be able to touch the edge of the king realm. Now, if they could obtain the king's steel and comprehend the laws on it, they might be able to take the opportunity to break through to the king realm. At that time, whoever could become the king realm would completely suppress the other party and become the new overlord. It could be said that this king's steel was extremely important to them. In the VIP room opposite the middle-aged man, there was an old man in green. At this moment, his expression was solemn. Beside him, there was a beautiful woman in a green dress. If Lin Xian saw this scene, he would definitely be shocked. He had seen these two people before. Previously in the Sand region, these two people had even saved him. At this moment, the green-clothed woman had a worried expression. That guy is too arrogant. We should really teach him a lesson. Don't worry. No matter how much he bids, this steel will be ours in the end. The green-clothed old man said in a low voice. Don't forget that the Immortal Martial Academy is our ally. Something like the King's Steel is extremely important, so they can only pass it to us through an auction. So, don't worry. Hearing the green-clothed old man's words, the beautiful woman heaved a sigh of relief. 6.1 billion. At this moment, the middle-aged venerables from the Palace of Gods of War spoke again. 6.2 billion. 6.4 billion. The Shen clan and Murong clan weren't willing to be outdone. At this moment, the green-clothed old man also spoke in a low voice. 7 billion. 7 billion? Hearing this voice, everyone was stunned. All of them opened their eyes wide and didn't dare to believe it. Who exactly is this? He's actually so rich and overbearing to raise the price by another 500 million in an instant. One had to know that up until now, everyone's wealth was about the same. Now that he was able to take out another 500 million in an instant, it was enough to show that he was wealthy and didn't care about these spirit stones at all. Why do I feel that he's even richer than the king clans? Oh my God, when did such a terrifying person appear in the sky martial continent? Countless people were shocked and discussed animatedly. Lin Xian was also greatly astonished. Not for other reasons, but because this price was already shocking enough. It was enough to buy a few half-Earth rank artifacts. On the ranking platform, the auctioneer's lips curled up into a satisfied smile. He asked in a low voice, 7 billion, is there anyone who wants to raise the price? Hearing this, everyone fell silent. Even the big shots from the king clans were silent. This price had already exceeded their expectations. Moreover, their clans also had things left behind by the king clans. Therefore, they didn't have an urgent need for this king's steel. Therefore, for a moment, they didn't raise the price. Chapter 1056. This really shocked him. Moreover, from the looks of it, 7 billion did not seem to be the other party's limit. If he continued to bid, there would be an uncontrollable situation at that time. So what if I let you have it? The middle-aged man sneered. I'll let you be proud for a while. When the time comes, I'll personally take the king's tablet away. He had already decided not to bid anymore. Instead, he would wait for the auction to make a move and snatch the king's tablet. Anyway, both parties were already sworn enemies. They would not hesitate to kill and rob. Sure enough, 7 billion. This kind of heaven-defying price made everyone silent. No one bid anymore. In the end, the king's tablet was obtained by the green-robed old man. Hearing the final confirmation, the green-robed old man also heaved a sigh of relief. But fortunately, this thing was finally in his hands. Could it be that they gave up just like that? That shouldn't be. This doesn't seem to be their style. The beautiful girl also had a puzzled expression. This is indeed not their style. I'm guessing that they must be planning to snatch it halfway and take away the king's tablet without spending a single cent, the green-robed old man sneered. He could not be more familiar with the other party's methods. However, how could we not be prepared to deal with people like them? After he finished speaking, the corners of the old man's mouth curled up into a cold smile. This was all within his calculations. As the last king's tablet was auctioned off, the entire auction also came to an end. Some important figures stood up and prepared to leave. At this moment, the auctioneer elder said again, "Everyone, it's like this. That place is about to open again." Hearing this, the ordinary cultivators all revealed puzzled expressions because they did not understand at all. However, the elders of the major forces were stunned. Then, their pupils constricted and their faces revealed shocked expressions. They stopped and looked back. Is this true? The Shen family's elder asked. This is the news brought by the dean, the auctioneer elder said. However, the big shots furrowed their brows even more because they were now certain that this was most likely true. However, the ordinary workers around them became more and more confused as they listened. They were stunned on the spot with puzzled expressions. Lin Xian was also stunned. He frowned slightly because he did not understand. Where is that place? What could make so many big shots reveal such serious expressions? He was very curious and realized that there were too many things in this world that he did not know. Down below, the grand characters pondered for a moment, then began to walk again. However, this time, they were not walking toward the exit. Instead, they were walking toward the auction elder. Since it's true, it seems that we need to discuss this matter properly. The elder from the Shun family took the lead and left. Behind him, the elder from the Murong family, the elder in green, and the others also left. The experts from the rank 6 sects also followed behind them. These people could all understand. They naturally knew what that place represented. As for the others, they didn't understand. They all revealed puzzled expressions and were extremely surprised. However, they also knew that they were probably not qualified to know about this matter. With endless curiosity, everyone left the auction house unwillingly. They did not dare to behave atrociously in front of so many big shots. Lin Xian was also very curious and wanted to go down to listen, but he knew that it was impossible. Those who participated in this matter were all peerless experts. With his current status, he was still unable to participate. However, if there was an urgent matter, the Immortal Martial Academy would inform him. Thinking of this, he calmed down and patiently dealt with the matters of the auction. At this moment, apart from Lin Xian and those from his own family, there were also the younger generation of the major powers that stayed in the auction house. Lin Xian and Wang Li had just come out when they saw Shen Yulong and the others. Seeing Lin Xian come out, the gloomy young man from the Shen family laughed coldly. To think that you actually dare to appear in front of us? How audacious! I advise you to hide. With your level of alchemy, it's not enough to look at in front of us. The gloomy young man was extremely arrogant. You dare to be careful of our brother Xian? Wang Li coldly snorted, his eyes filled with disdain. I can't, but our brother Tianyu can crush him with a single hand. What big words! Aren't you afraid that the wind will blow you up into the sky? Wang Li sneered. A loser still dares to say such big words. If I were you, I would have killed myself long ago. The two of them mocked each other, and the atmosphere was somewhat tense. However, Lin Xian and the handsome young man didn't say anything, but the atmosphere in the air was getting colder and colder. However, the handsome young man had an arrogant expression. He turned to Shen Yulong and said, "Let's go. I came to Windseek City this time to see the King's Stone Tablet and find a few 7th-grade alchemy grandmasters to exchange pointers with. I'm not interested in other things, and they don't have the qualifications to make me interested." He was extremely arrogant and didn't put Lin Xian in his eyes at all. At this moment, Lin Xian also spoke in a low voice, "Exchange pointers? Why don't we exchange pointers?" He really couldn't stand the attitude of this group of people. They were all so arrogant. Those who didn't know would really think that they were pill kings. Coincidentally, Lin Xian had a new understanding of alchemy recently. He could use them as a whetstone. Exchange pointers with you? Are you worthy? The handsome young man, Shen Tianyu, showed disdain. Whether I'm worthy or not, you'll know once you try. Lin Xian said coldly. What a joke. A fake 6th-grade alchemist dares to compete with our big brother Tian? You're courting death. You have to know that our big brother Tianyu is a true 7th-grade alchemist. He's a grandmaster. I can guarantee that if you dare to bet, I'll make you piss your pants in shame. The cold young man was very arrogant. Generally, when one's strength reached the level of a 7th-grade alchemist, they would be called an alchemy grandmaster. In terms of alchemy, they would be superb and would be respected by the major forces. No one expected that this handsome young man was actually a true 7th-grade alchemist. Lin Xian sneered. So what if he was a 7th-grade alchemist? He now had the 1,000-beast cauldron and could refine 7th-grade pills. Moreover, his success rate was higher than a true 7th-grade alchemist. It could be said that he had reached the Grandmaster realm long ago. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't fear the other party at all. As long as the other party dared to provoke him, he was absolutely confident that he would ruthlessly beat them and let them know what a true alchemy grandmaster was. Oh, a battle between alchemy grandmasters? I won't miss such a good thing. Murong Qingqing floated over like a fairy with a faint smile on her lips. She naturally knew Shen Tianyu's strength, but she believed in Lin Xian more. In her opinion, if it was a real competition, Lin Xian would never lose. Brother Tianyu has made a move? At this time, the younger generation of the Divine Bird Palace also came over. They looked at Lin Xian with strange expressions. Chapter 1057. It's just a clown. With Brother Tianyu's help, it'll be over quickly. So, fellow cultivators of the Divine Bird Palace must come and watch. The cold youth from the Shen family said, How dare you boast? Wang Li sneered. I wonder what kind of expression you'll have when you lose? Did you know that the 3 purple spirit pills at the auction were personally refined by our brother Xian? I wonder if your brother Tianyu can refine them? Wang Li was really angry, so he released such a shocking news. What? Those 3 purple spirit pills were refined by him. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Hearing this news, everyone was shocked because they didn't expect the strange purple spirit pills to be refined by Lin Xian. One had to know that the purple spirit pill was not only a 7th-grade pill, but its effects were also very strange. Even the older generation went crazy for it. Not to mention the younger generation. Now, when they heard that this pill was actually refined by Lin Xian, they were all extremely shocked. However, the cold youth from the Shun family snorted. Stop boasting. It must have been refined by an elder in the sect. You're just a figurehead. Don't be fooled by him. Last time in the Crimson Crescent City, he was defeated by a purple spirit pill when he fought with Lin Xian. Moreover, he was completely defeated and was laughed at by everyone. Now that he heard the words purple spirit pill, he was infuriated. That was why he roared so crazily to vent the anger in his heart. However, Lin Xian sneered and looked at the cold youth in front of him with disdain. In his opinion, the other party was just a clown who wasn't worth mentioning. The real enemy was the handsome young man, Shen Tianyu. Hearing the cold youth's words, the surrounding people also looked at him suspiciously. They couldn't help it. The news was too shocking and they couldn't believe it. However, Lin Xian still looked calm and at ease. It seemed that he was very confident in his own strength. It didn't seem fake. Moreover, not only Lin Xian, but the disciples of the Dragon Sword Pavilion also looked confident. This shocked everyone even more. Could it be that the purple spirit pill was really refined by him? This thought quietly sprouted in everyone's hearts. Even Shen Tianyu frowned slightly. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to refine such a pill. He turned to look at Lin Xian, his eyes filled with disbelief. He knew that Lin Xian was not a Tier 7 alchemist, but a Tier 6 alchemist. Therefore, he didn't believe that Lin Xian could concoct a Dan of the 7th realm. However, this news made him a little angry. As a 7th realm alchemist and a grandmaster, he had never heard of this Dan before. But now, a level 6 brat actually refined such a peculiar medicinal pill. This was intolerable to him. The corners of Shen Tianyu's mouth curled up into a cold smile. It's not impossible for you to spar with me. However, I don't usually spar with others for no reason. If you can offer me something that moves my heart, I can spar with you. I might even give you some guidance. Shen Tianyu said proudly. Wager, wager. Hearing this, everyone's heart skipped a beat. They knew that Shen Tianyu had a habit of making wagers with others. Whoever won in alchemy would win the other party's wager. Wager? What do you want? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It's very simple. If you lose, give me the purple spirit pill formula in your hand. Hearing this, everyone's hearts trembled. They were extremely shocked. Sure enough, Shen Tianyu had set his sights on the formula. One should know that the purple spirit pill was a Tier 7 pill with a peculiar effect that made countless honorables go crazy. This formula was definitely extremely precious. If anyone could obtain it, it would definitely be a great fortune. That was why Shen Tianyu offered such a condition. Lin Xian's lips curled slightly. How dare Shen Tianyu covet his formula? He was really courting death. However, he didn't refuse. Instead, he sneered in his heart. It's not impossible to use the purple spirit pill formula as a wager, but it depends on what you can offer. Lin Xian said nonchalantly. Hearing this, everyone was shocked again. They didn't expect Lin Xian to dare to use the purple spirit pill formula as a wager. After all, that was a magical treasure. How could he just take it out like that? Wasn't he afraid of losing? Everyone looked at Lin Xian with strange expressions. After hearing this, Shen Tianyu smiled proudly. He didn't expect Shen Tianyu to agree so easily. This was beyond his expectations. However, this was also good. It seemed that Shen Tianyu was simple-minded and couldn't threaten him at all. This pill formula, I'm taking it. Shen Tianyu sneered in his heart with a smug smile. Then he said, I won't bully you. I also have a Tier 7 pill formula with me. It's called the Jingyuan pill. After taking it, it can greatly increase a supreme martial artist's cultivation and spiritual power. I'll use this formula as a wager. What do you think? Increase one's cultivation. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other and shook their heads slightly. Although a pill that could increase one's cultivation was good, it wasn't rare. Lin Xian's purple spirit pill could restore one's martial soul. There were only a few people in the entire Tianwu continent who could do this. Lin Xian sneered. Shen Tianyu took out an ordinary Tier 7 pill formula as a wager with his purple spirit pill. How ridiculous! I didn't expect the genius of the Shen family to be so insincere. How stingy. Since you can't offer anything good, I won't blame you. Maybe you're really poor and don't know how to compare notes. Let's end it here. Lin Xian shook his head and said with a trace of contempt. He turned around and was about to leave. Wait a minute. Shen Tianyu shouted coldly. His face was a little pale. He didn't expect Shen Tianyu to reject him so directly. However, Lin Xian acted as if he didn't hear him and continued to walk away. Shen Tianyu's face was livid. He said coldly, "Then I'll add another one." Lin Xian sneered when he heard that. He didn't lack pill formulas. After all, he had the pill formulas left behind by Lord Alcohol and the alchemy inheritance left behind by King Pillplume. Therefore, he didn't lack pill formulas at all. Seeing that Shen Tianyu ignored him, Shen Tianyu's face turned even uglier. "What do you want as a wager?" His voice was a little ferocious because he really wanted the purple spirit pill formula. Hearing this, Lin Xian smiled. It seemed that Shen Tianyu had taken the bait. Then Lin Xian stopped and turned around. He said, 2 spiritual herbs that are 6,000 years old and 3 spiritual herbs that are 5,000 years old. If you can take them out, I'll bet with you. If you can't, then don't waste my time. Lin Xian's words shocked the surrounding martial artists. The Shen family's disciples' faces darkened, especially the gloomy young man. He screamed. Chapter 1058. Lin Xian's words shocked the surrounding martial artists. The Shen family's disciples' faces darkened, especially the gloomy young man, who screamed. What? 2 spiritual herbs that are 6,000 years old and 3 spiritual herbs that are 5,000 years old? Are you crazy? You're robbing us. Who do you think you are? How dare you make such a request? Do you have any idea how precious and valuable these things are? The gloomy young man was very agitated. Shen Tianyu's face darkened, and his eyes were cold. Then do you know how precious my purple spirit pill is? Lin Xian said coldly. If you're not blind, you can see how much a purple spirit pill was sold at today's auction. What was the reaction of the older generation? Moreover, it's only a purple spirit pill. Now I'm betting on it. It can create a lot of wealth. I think you know who's taking advantage of who. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Indeed, although a 6,000-year-old spiritual herb was precious, it would be gone once it was used up. However, elixir recipes were different. They could be passed down from generation to generation. Moreover, the purple spirit pill was a magical elixir. If one had the elixir recipe, it was equivalent to obtaining a mountain of gold. It would bring a lot of wealth and attract the attention of the major forces. After Lin Xian's explanation, everyone felt that it made sense. Now that they thought about it, Shen Tianyu was indeed too stingy. He had only taken out 2 ordinary 7th-grade elixir recipes as a bet. It was a bit of a bully. Shen Tianyu was not an ordinary disciple. He was a genius disciple of a king family. Such ordinary elixir recipes were not worthy of his status. Shen Tianyu's face darkened. He had thought that 2 elixir recipes could fool him. He did not expect Shen Tianyu to be so cunning. Moreover, what shocked him even more was the conditions that Shen Tianyu had proposed. 2 spiritual herbs that were 6,000 years old and 3 spiritual herbs that were 5,000 years old. These were the most precious things in his storage ring. He did not know how Shen Tianyu knew about the things in his storage ring. However, he thought it was a coincidence. That's because looking into a storage ring requires soul power. With his strength as a 7th-tier alchemist, he'll be able to detect the slightest abnormality. Moreover, he did not think that the other party could hide from his senses, so in his opinion, this was a complete coincidence. Okay, I agree to your conditions, Shen Tianyu said in a low voice. Although these spiritual herbs were extremely precious, they were nothing compared to the purple spirit pill's pill formula. Moreover, he was confident that he would not lose, so no matter what he took out, he was not worried. As long as he could make the other party compete with him, it would be fine. At that time, he would let the other party know what regret was. Lin Xian sneered inwardly when Shen Tianyu agreed. As expected, the other party had taken the bait and agreed to participate in this competition. This was great. Plus, The spiritual medicine he wanted wasn't something he said casually. He really knew what it was. Of course, he didn't use his soul power to find out. It was the little white monkey who told him. The little white monkey had a special sense for these kinds of heaven and earth treasures, so it was very clear how many good things the other party had in their storage rings. If it weren't for the other party's powerful soul power, the little white monkey would have used the treasure bowl to rob them. However, it was the same now. As long as the other party dared to take out those spiritual herbs as a bet, Lin Xian was confident that he could win them back. Seeing that the two alchemy geniuses had reached an agreement, the crowd was shocked and then excited. Lin Xian and Shen Tianyu were both very powerful, and they were both very advanced alchemists. Shen Tianyu had reached the level of a 7th-tier alchemist at such a young age. It could be said that he was very talented. Lin Xian was even more amazing. He could refine a magical pill like the purple spirit pill, which made countless venerables crazy. It could be said that both of them were alchemy geniuses. Now that the two of them were going to compete, it was naturally very exciting. Okay, after 10 days, I'll wait for you at the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion. Shen Tianyu said coldly and then left with the disciples of the Shen family. We, the Divine Bird Palace, will not miss this competition. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace glared at Lin Xian with cold eyes and then left with laughter. They knew Shen Tianyu's reputation. In their opinion, it would be easy for Shen Tianyu to defeat Lin Xian. Although they couldn't fight in person, it was great for them to see Lin Xian fail with their own eyes. A competition between geniuses is really not to be missed. The disciples of the Deity Sword Villa nodded slightly and then left quickly. The young disciples around were all shocked and said that they absolutely couldn't miss this exciting battle. Very quickly, the news spread out, and the entire wind-seeking city was shaken by it. They didn't expect that the auction had just ended and there would be such explosive news. This was definitely going to be a shocking battle. The crowd was excited and they all stopped in Windy City to wait for the battle between the two. Lin Xian chuckled as he watched the departing figures of those people. He knew what those people were thinking. Most of them didn't believe that he could refine the purple spirit pill. However, he didn't care about their doubts and didn't explain too much. When he refined the pill on the spot, it would naturally shut their mouths. Moreover, what made him even angrier was that the Shen family dared to covet his elixir recipe. Elixir recipes were the lifeblood of an alchemist, especially such a precious elixir recipe. Ordinary alchemists wouldn't hand it over even if they had to risk their lives. Now that they wanted his elixir recipe, it was a disguised attempt to kill him. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't sit still and wait for death. Alas, it's a pity that he only has so many spiritual herbs in his storage ring. It would be great if he had more. Lin Xian sighed and looked regretful. What he lacked most now were spiritual herbs, especially precious ones. In his opinion, Shen Tianyu was just an elixir boy. Just as Lin Xian decided on the battle, on the other side, the big shots had finished their discussion. In fact, there wasn't much to discuss. They just wanted to confirm and then prepare. After all, this was both a challenge and an opportunity for them. If they were lucky, they would receive great rewards. Lin Xian happened to meet these big shots and immediately said respectfully, "Greetings, seniors." The elders of the big forces looked at Lin Xian and nodded slightly. When the middle-aged man from the Palace of Gods of War saw Lin Xian, his pupils constricted as if he had seen a ghost. Soon, he regained his composure and a cold smile appeared on his face. On the other side, the old man in green was also surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be waiting for them here. Moreover, the people from the Palace of Gods of War had bumped into him. This wasn't a good thing. Chapter 1059. Fortunately, the middle-aged honorable master from the Palace of Ares only glanced at Lin Xian and did not pay much attention to him. The green-robed elder heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian's identity was too sensitive and he could not expose it easily. Otherwise, the other party would definitely go crazy. Lin Xian was also excited when he saw the green-robed elder. The green-robed elder had previously told him that his father was in the Palace of Ares. Hence, he was eager to know about his father's whereabouts. "Senior, please hold on. I have something to ask," Lin Xian said to the green-robed elder. The green-robed elder nodded and stopped in his tracks. After the big shots had left, Lin Xian asked quickly, "Senior, how is my father? And what's the situation in the palace of Ares? Can I go there?" The green-robed elder hesitated and said slowly, "You can't go there now. As for your father's condition, don't worry. There's no problem." The green-robed elder thought for a while and decided not to reveal Lin Xian's true identity. Beside him, Hall Master Wan and the auctioneer elder took a deep look at Lin Xian and said in a deep voice, "All right, you don't have to worry about the palace of Ares. There's something you need to do now." "Something? What is it?" Lin Xian asked curiously. "It's about that place," Hall Master Wan said. "That place?" Upon hearing that, Lin Xian's pupils constricted and he asked curiously, "What is that place?" "It's a secret land. There are countless treasures in it, but it's also extremely dangerous. You can say that opportunities and challenges coexist. Are you willing to go to such a secret land?" Hall Master Wan asked. Although they wanted Lin Xian to go, the prerequisite was that Lin Xian had to agree to it himself. Countless treasures. Lin Xian took a deep breath and his eyes were filled with excitement. What he lacked the most now was treasures. Now, there was actually a mystic realm that was filled with treasures. This was extremely good news for him. "What is the danger?" Lin Xian asked again. Although the heaven and earth treasures were good, he still had to figure out the situation before he dared to enter. There are two aspects in total. The first is the threat from the other factions. There might be a conflict with the other factions. The second is the threat of the secret realm itself. After all, it's an ancient secret realm. Although there are many treasures in there, there are corresponding formations. That's an extremely powerful ancient forbidden formation. Its power is unimaginable. That's why the process of obtaining the treasure is extremely dangerous. Ancient formation restriction. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard that. However, he was secretly delighted. This was because the dark red divine dragon was an expert in array formations. It should have no problem breaking array formations. Therefore, without much thought, Lin Xian nodded in agreement. "All right. Since you've agreed, then prepare patiently. We'll inform you when we're done discussing the details." Hall Master Wan said, "It won't take too long. It'll only take about a month." "A month?" Lin Xian nodded. Fortunately, he had enough time to prepare. Then, Lin Xian left with his men. Hall Master Wan frowned. That place was extremely dangerous. Moreover, it was opened in advance. There might be something unusual inside. "Have you really decided to let Lin Xian enter?" Hearing that, the green-robed elder sighed. "No one wants to take this risk. However, this opportunity only comes once in 100 years. If we miss this opportunity, we might have to wait another 100 years. No one can wait that long, and Lin Xian is even more so. If he's an ordinary martial artist, then it's fine. However, his identity is too special. I'm afraid he won't be able to hide it for long before those people find out. At that time, he'll be in great danger. Therefore, the opening of the secret realm is the best opportunity for him to increase his strength. Although it's dangerous, it's better than being killed by others." Hearing that, the few important figures fell silent. "All right, then it's settled. How about your side? Those people won't let this matter rest until they get the king tablet. Do you want us to send some people to escort you back?" Hall Master Wan asked. "No need. I have a way to deal with it." The green-robed elder smiled and said. Looking at his confident expression, Hall Master Wan didn't say anything else. After all, the green-robed elder wasn't a weakling. He was an expert from the Palace of War that was as famous as the Immortal Martial Academy. While the two of them were discussing, the important figures of the other forces also left Wind-Seeking City and returned to their respective sects to discuss this matter. The opening of the secret realm in advance was extremely shocking to them. They guessed that something unimaginable must have happened inside. However, the things inside were too tempting. They couldn't resist at all. Therefore, they could only send their disciples. However, they had to discuss what kind of disciples to send. While these important figures were discussing urgently, Lin Xian wasn't idle either. Since it was confirmed that they would enter the secret realm in a month, he was preparing urgently during this period. Other things couldn't be improved in a short period of time, but things like elixirs could be refined. Therefore, during this period, Lin Xian had been preparing all kinds of elixirs to deal with the dangerous secret realm. However, while Lin Xian was busy in seclusion, another big event happened in Wind-Seeking City. Now, all the martial artists in Wind-Seeking City were extremely excited because they witnessed the rise of a young alchemy grandmaster. This young man was naturally Shen Tianyu. He stayed in Wind-Seeking City and didn't leave. Moreover, during these few days, he displayed his powerful alchemy skills, which shocked everyone. One should know that all the forces in Wind-Seeking City were still there. These people were the elites of the blood field. However, they were still deeply shocked by Shen Tianyu's alchemy skills. The alchemists of the major forces were so shocked that they all went to visit Shen Tianyu to ask for advice. Even a 7th-grade alchemist went to exchange pointers with him. This made everyone even more shocked. One should know that those alchemists were all terrifying figures. There were even alchemy grandmasters. However, at this moment, they were all asking for advice from a young man. This was really incredible. For a time, Shen Tianyu's reputation spread throughout Wind-Seeking City. At the same time, the news of the competition between Shen Tianyu and Lin Xian spread. Suddenly, everyone was extremely excited. The disciples of the Shen family and the allied forces of the Shen family secretly spread the news that Lin Xian was afraid of Shen Tianyu and didn't dare to go out and meet people. At first, people didn't believe it because Lin Xian's strength was not weak. However, gradually, they began to doubt it because they didn't see Lin Xian at all these days. They didn't even see him at the celestial martial auction. Chapter 1060. Didn't he refine the purple spirit pill? With such a miraculous pill, why would he be afraid of competing with others? What do you know? I heard that the purple spirit pill was not refined by him. It was refined by an elder of the Celestial Martial Arts Academy. It was just under his name. Really? So there is such a thing. It's possible. After all, the purple spirit pill is too miraculous. How could a young man refine it? I'm afraid that even Shen Tianyu can't refine such a pill. Yeah, I didn't believe it at first. But now that Lin Xian hasn't shown up for many days, it might be true. In Wind-Seeking City, countless martial artists were talking about it. Elixirs were resources that martial artists couldn't do without. Therefore, every martial artist was paying attention to it. Therefore, all kinds of news were flying around. Although I don't know if the purple spirit pill was refined by Lin Xian, I heard that when Lin Xian was in Crimson Crescent City, he was invited by a grade 7 alchemist. This is enough to prove his strength and talent. Otherwise, the grade 7 alchemist wouldn't have invited him. However, such a talented young alchemist didn't dare to accept the challenge. How strong is Shen Tianyu? Someone exclaimed. Of course, Shen Tianyu is the genius of the Shen family. He's a true grade 7 alchemist. Do you know what a grade 7 alchemist is? Look at those grade 7 alchemists now and you'll understand. Without a few hundred years, it's impossible to achieve it. However, Shen Tianyu became a grade 7 alchemist at such a young age. That's unbelievable. Many people exclaimed. In Wind-Seeking City, many people were talking about Shen Tianyu. Although Shen Tianyu didn't make many moves, he had deeply impressed everyone. In an instant, his name resounded throughout Wind-Seeking City. Lin Xian naturally didn't know about this. He had been in seclusion to prepare for the secret territory. However, he didn't forget about the competition with Shen Tianyu. After all, it was a few 6,000-year-old spiritual herbs. He wouldn't miss out on such a good thing. Therefore, when he felt that it was about time, he opened his eyes and exited his seclusion. However, when he came out, he wasn't happy, because he heard the streets and alleys speaking ill of him. Immediately, Lin Xian found Wang Li and the others and asked them what was going on. He had only been in seclusion for a few days. How did the world change so drastically? Wang Li was also very angry. He quickly said, "Older brother Xian, in the past few days when you were in seclusion, the entire wind-seeking city was talking about your competition with Shen Tianyu. Not only that, but the disciples of the Shen family and the Divine Bird Palace are also adding fuel to the fire in the dark, specifically discrediting them, which is why the current situation is like this. We wanted to do it a long time ago, but without your permission, we didn't dare. Wang Li gritted his teeth. After hearing this, Lin Xian stroked his chin. So that's what happened. No wonder the entire wind-seeking city was in such a situation. However, he was not worried because his purple spirit pill was not fake. He had refined it himself. Therefore, no matter what people said, they could not change this fact. However, the other party's actions infuriated him. He was not a master who would be bullied. There's no need to do it, but since the other party provoked us, we have to respond. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Wang Li, follow me out. Older brother Xian, where are we going? Wang Li asked. Accept the challenge. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. Hearing this, Wang Li was excited. He had been displeased with those people for a long time. Unfortunately, without Lin Xian's order, he could not do it. But now Lin Xian was going to take the initiative to attack. How could he not be excited? Older brother Xian, I can't help it. Wang Li shouted excitedly. Then he followed Lin Xian out. When Lin Xian appeared in Wind-Seeking City, everyone was stunned. They were shocked as if they had seen a ghost. Because after these few days of discrediting, everyone thought that Lin Xian was a coward and did not dare to accept the challenge. But now Lin Xian appeared. What's going on? Didn't he not dare to come out? Why did he come out now? Many people were confused. Who knows? Is he here to accept the challenge? That's impossible. Didn't they say that he's only a 6th-grade alchemist? With this level, he's courting death against Shen Tianyu. But he's walking towards the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion. That's where he and Shen Tianyu will fight. Everyone was talking about it excitedly. It was too shocking. They thought that the matter was over, but they did not expect such a thing to happen again. At this time, Wang Li snorted coldly. What are you suspecting? Are you suspecting our older brother Xian? Let me tell you, our older brother Xian has been in seclusion for the past few days because he's studying the pill formulas. It's not some lousy rumor. Now, we're here to accept the challenge. That's you. You were shouting so happily just now. I advise you to tell that Shen Tianyu to protect his knees. Protect his knees? Everyone was confused. Because in front of older brother Xian, he has to kneel. Wang Li's voice was loud and clear. Whoosh! Hearing this, everyone was in an uproar. They were all extremely shocked, as if they couldn't believe their own ears. What did I hear? Lin Xian is fighting back. Damn, this is the rhythm of a fight. This is big news, big news. I told you, Lin Xian can't be afraid. You didn't believe me, but now you believe me. Look at how confident he is. Did he really come up with a new pill formula? Everyone was excited, boiling, and completely confused. The rumor about Lin Xian discredited was self-defeating. Didn't you say that he was a coward and did not dare to accept the challenge? But now, he had come out and accepted the challenge in a high-profile manner. He was very confident. Suddenly, the news spread like a gust of wind and quickly spread throughout Windy City. Go and see Lin Xian is out. What? Lin Xian is out? You're not dreaming, are you? How dare he come out? What do you know? He's heading to the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion to prepare for the competition. Really? Damn. I have to go and see. In an instant, the entire Windy City was shocked. Countless warriors moved to watch. This also created a strange scene. Lin Xian was like an elder of a king family. He was surrounded by everyone like the stars surrounding the moon. Brother Lin, are you really going to fight? Someone did not believe and quickly asked. I say, why are you still asking this question? Wang Li said impatiently. Can't you see? Of course, our older brother Xian is going to fight. Also, hurry up and tell Shen Tianyu to prepare a 6,000-year-old elixir. We don't want it if it's missing a leaf. Wang Li's words shocked everyone. They looked at Lin Xian's confident look. It did not seem fake at all. Now, everyone believed that Lin Xian was really going to fight. Chapter 1061. The Heavenly Elixir Pavilion was the largest elixir trading place in Wenfeng City. They had everything from ordinary elixirs to 7th-grade elixirs. It could be said that everyone knew about the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion. At this moment, the people of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion all came out to welcome them. They naturally knew that the two of them were going to fight here, but they did not object. Instead, they were very happy. This was because such a thing was rare and both of them were shocking geniuses. Shen Tianyu was a disciple of a royal family and an alchemy genius. He had become a 7th-grade alchemist at such a young age. It could be said that he was very powerful and his future was limitless. Lin Xian was even more amazing. It was said that the purple spirit pill was refined by him. Moreover, he was the owner of the Immortal Martial Auction. The Immortal Martial Auction, there was probably no one who didn't know about this auction. The first auction had gathered countless elders of the big forces and even sent out a heaven-defying item like the King's Tablet. It could be said that the Immortal Martial Auction was the top auction in the Tianwu continent. And the young man in front of them was the owner of the auction. Therefore, they did not dare to underestimate him and all came out to welcome him. Under the welcoming of the elders, Lin Xian entered the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion. The Heavenly Elixir Pavilion had specially cleared out a courtyard for this competition. The courtyard was very spacious and connected into one piece. Inside, there were overlapping rockery and waterfalls. The scenery was pleasant and it was like a fairyland. Lin Xian walked into the courtyard and immediately narrowed his eyes. He naturally did not pay attention to the scenery. Moreover, something else had attracted his attention. With his outstanding soul power, Lin Xian sensed that there was a fire vein under the courtyard. Although it was not as good as the Flaming Mountain, it was still extraordinary. The fire vein contained rich fire elements and could help alchemists increase the efficiency of refining elixirs. It could be said that it was very important. He did not expect that there would be a fire vein in the courtyard. As expected of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion, it was indeed extraordinary. Then he focused his gaze and carefully sensed it. Then he took a step forward. His footwork was very strange. It was not a straight line at all. It was as if he was stepping on something. The ordinary martial artists were puzzled and did not understand. However, the elders of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion were shocked and their faces were dull. They could not help but be shocked because they knew that there was a fire vein underground. But now, every step Lin Xian took was on the fire vein. Moreover, it was the place with the densest fire vein. Lin Xian's footsteps had completely shocked the elders of the Heavenly Dan Pavilion. Now, they absolutely believed that the previous rumors were purposely slandered. The youth in front of them was definitely incomparably powerful. However, they didn't know if they could defeat Shen Tianyu because Shen Tianyu was also extraordinary. Moreover, they had interacted with Shen Tianyu before. His attainments in alchemy were even higher than theirs. Therefore, they had no way of guessing the outcome of this battle. Everything would only be known after the battle. After taking a few steps, Lin Xian stopped and stood with his hands behind his back with a smile on his face. This was because the place he was at now was the place where the fire element was the strongest. Seeing that Lin Xian was ready, Wang Li immediately said, "Why hasn't Shen Tianyu come yet? Is he afraid of our brother Xian's strength? You don't dare to accept my challenge?" Previously, those people had maliciously slandered Lin Xian, which made Wang Li and the others very angry. Now that there was an opportunity, they would not miss it. When the surrounding people heard this, the corners of their mouths twitched. Obviously, Shen Tianyu was retaliating against those malicious rumors from a few days ago. Soon, the news of Lin Xian's arrival at the Heavenly Dan Pavilion spread quickly. More and more people gathered at the Heavenly Dan Pavilion. The entire courtyard was filled with people. Lin Xian stood at the place where the fire vein was the strongest and waited quietly. He knew that Shen Tianyu would definitely come after hearing the news. Sure enough, not long after, there was a sudden commotion behind him. The crowd spread to both sides like a tide, forcibly forming a passage. Then, a group of people swaggered out of the passage. The person in front was naturally Shen Tianyu. He was handsome and had a conceited smile on his face as he strode over quickly. Next to him was the cold level 6 alchemist and Shen Yulong. Behind them were the other disciples of the Shen family. The group of people majestically entered the courtyard. Then, the cold young man looked at Lin Xian and sneered. You really dared to come? I have to say that you're very bold, but also very stupid. How dare you go against our brother Tianyu? You're going to die. Today, I'll expose your alchemy skills in front of everyone and let everyone know what kind of trash you are. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. They did not expect Shen Tianyu to come so quickly and in such a domineering manner. It seemed that there would be an exciting alchemy battle here. When Wang Li heard Shen Tianyu's voice, he snorted and said, I think you should be the ones who are afraid. But are you ready to kneel down? Seeing that Lin Xian was not backing down, the crowd finally boiled over. The alchemy competition had not yet begun, but the two sides were already mocking each other. It seemed that when the battle began, they would definitely not hold back. This also meant that the battle would definitely be exciting. How is it? Have you prepared the 6,000-year-old spiritual herbs? You must take good care of them. If there's a single leaf, we won't accept it. Of course, we'll take good care of the 6,000-year-old spiritual herbs. But you don't have to worry about that because you won't have the chance to see them. The cold young man sneered. Shen Tianyu, on the other hand, looked proud and aloof. He did not care about this quarrel at all. Instead, his eyes were like lightning as he quickly scanned the surroundings. Then he frowned. This was because he also felt the underground fire vein. However, what made him unhappy was that Lin Xian was standing in the best spot of the fire vein. He could not tolerate this. In his opinion, this place should belong to him. Lin Xian was not qualified to own this place. Then, with a trace of coldness at the corner of his mouth, he quickly walked up. Get lost. I want this place. Shen Tianyu was very domineering. He did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. Lin Xian sneered. You want it? Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? Lin Xian did not have a good impression of this person in front of him. He had to teach this self-righteous and arrogant guy a lesson in order to intimidate him. Kid, I'm warning you. You don't deserve this position. You're an insult to this place by standing here. Seeing that the other party was unwilling to back down, Shen Tianyu's face darkened. How ridiculous! If I don't deserve it, do you think you deserve this place? Do you really think you're so great? Lin Xian said coldly. The crowd was puzzled. They could not understand why the two of them were fighting for a position. Chapter 1062. You're not alchemists, so you don't know that there's a very dense fire vein underneath. And Lin Xian is standing at the best spot in the fire vein. Refining pills there will achieve the best results. An elder explained. After hearing that, the crowd finally understood. No wonder the two of them were fighting for a spot. However, it seemed that Shen Tianyu was at a disadvantage because it seemed that Lin Xian would never give up that spot. In front of them, the two of them were confronting each other. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. On the other hand, Shen Tianyu was furious. His face was extremely cold and his eyes were filled with anger. Get lost. He finally could not stand it anymore. He threw a punch in front of him, trying to send Lin Xian flying. Seeing that, the crowd was shocked. They did not expect Shen Tianyu to suddenly attack. However, Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. He stretched out his palm and waved it in front of him. Boom! A low sound was heard, and a terrifying energy spread out in all directions. You want to fight? I'm afraid you've got the wrong person. Lin Xian sneered. Then his arm shook, and a huge force surged out of his body again. Boom! In the next moment, Shen Tianyu's expression changed because he was knocked back. His body swayed and he took 3 steps back. His entire arm was slightly numb. He stared fiercely at Lin Xian. His eyes were burning with anger. He did not expect Lin Xian's combat strength to be so terrifying that he was knocked back. The crowd was also shocked. It seemed that in terms of combat strength, Shen Tianyu was far inferior to Lin Xian. At that moment, Shen Yulong also quickly stepped forward and whispered to Shen Tianyu, "Don't fight with him. His combat strength is terrifying." Hearing that, Shen Tianyu's face darkened, but he still nodded coldly. He had already felt the power of that punch. At that moment, he snorted. So what if his combat strength is strong? We're competing in alchemy skills this time. So what if you've taken the best spot? I'll let you know what true strength is. Shen Tianyu's expression was cold. He no longer fought for the best spot. Instead, he quickly scanned the surroundings, looking for other spots. Not long after, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. With a flash of his feet, he arrived at a place opposite Lin Xian. The fire element there was also abnormally strong, second only to Lin Xian's location. Kid, you'll know in a moment that everything is futile in front of absolute strength. Shen Tianyu smiled coldly. I'll let you know what true strength is. In the face of absolute strength, everything you do is futile. Shen Tianyu said arrogantly. Lin Xian also said in a cold voice, an alchemist who can't even get the most advantageous position to refine pills, and you still want to talk about absolute strength. I think you don't have any strength at all. You don't deserve to say these words. There are many factors involved in alchemy, and the flame factor is especially important. It can even affect the success or failure of alchemy. You can't even control such an important factor, and you still want to talk about strength with me. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Lin Xian's voice was cold, and there was a trace of disdain in the corners of his mouth. You have a sharp tongue. You'll know how short-sighted your knowledge is. Shen Tianyu's face was dark, and there was a strong murderous intent. His opponent was so hateful that he dared to question his strength. He decided to teach him a lesson later and let him know what a real alchemy genius was. That's right. What's the use of talking? Let's see if you have the ability to fight. The gloomy youth of the Shen family also clamored. It's no fun to bicker. Since it's an alchemy competition, let's see what level of alchemy you have. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace also sneered. The surrounding warriors were very excited because they would soon be able to see a peak alchemy competition. This was definitely a rare scene. In that case, let's start. The competition is very simple. You can refine pills at will. Whoever has a higher grade and better effect will win. Shen Tianyu said, prepare the purple spirit pill formula, because it will soon be mine. Hearing this, Lin Xian had a strange look. He asked in a low voice, are you sure you want to compete like this? What, you don't dare? Shen Tianyu sneered. It's not that I don't dare, but I have no chance of winning at all. Lin Xian said slowly, if I use the purple spirit pill, I really can't think of what kind of pill you can use to compete with me. He was telling the truth. Originally, he thought that they should refine the same kind of pill and see whose effect was better. He did not expect Shen Tianyu to compete with him on any kind of pill. Wasn't he looking for death? His purple spirit pill was a pill that could repair martial spirits. It was a pill that countless venerables went crazy for. It could be said that it was unique in the Tianwu continent because no one had heard of a pill with the same effect. Therefore, he really could not think of what kind of pill Shen Tianyu could use to compete with his purple spirit pill. Refine the purple spirit pill? Shen Tianyu was stunned. He then sneered disdainfully, if you can really refine the purple spirit pill, then I'll admit defeat. He said this directly because in his opinion, it was impossible for Shen Tianyu to refine the purple spirit pill. That was because it was a 7th grade pill, and it was one of the most outstanding 7th grade pills. With Shen Tianyu's status as a 6th grade alchemist, how could he refine it? Therefore, he did not think that Lin Xian could refine it. Shen Tianyu was different. He was a genuine 7th grade alchemist. This time, he had carefully prepared for the competition. Therefore, it wasn't difficult for him to refine a 7th grade medicinal pill. As long as he could refine it, he would definitely be able to defeat Lin Xian. When Lin Xian heard Shen Tianyu's words, his expression became even more strange. Since Shen Tianyu was looking for death, he could only send him on his way. Alright, you said it yourself. When the time comes, don't blame me for not reminding you. Lin Xian kindly reminded him again. Cut the crap. Let's begin. Shen Tianyu snorted coldly. Then he touched his storage ring with his finger. A crimson alchemy cauldron appeared in the air. The alchemy cauldron was crimson. As soon as it appeared, it exuded a monstrous heat. There were mysterious lines on it, forming a flame pattern that burned fiercely. This cauldron? Could it be the Shun family's Nanming Ignis cauldron? The elder of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion was shocked. Yes, it is indeed the Nanming Ignis cauldron. I didn't expect him to have this treasure cauldron. This is a half-earth grade treasure. Another elder exclaimed. What? A half-earth grade treasure. When the crowd heard this, they were shocked and looked at the sky in disbelief. They did not expect that the Crimson Alchemy Cauldron to be a half-earth grade treasure. This was too shocking. One had to know that a half-earth step treasure was an incomparably rare existence. They hadn't expected Shen Tianyu to be so generous. Chapter 1063. Seeing the shocked and envious eyes of the people around him, Shen Tianyu smiled proudly. His Nanming Li Fire Cauldron was indeed a half-earth rank treasure, and it was specially given to him by his family. Now, using it to deal with Lin Xian would be a piece of cake. It could even crush him. Then he manipulated the Nanming Li Fire Cauldron and looked at Lin Xian provocatively. He wanted to see what kind of cauldron Shen Tianyu could take out. If the grade of his cauldron was too low, he would directly use the pressure of the Nanming Li Fire Cauldron to intimidate him, and it might even cause his alchemy to fail. He was disdainful. In front of his absolute strength, what could Lin Xian do? The disciples of the Shun family and the Divine Bird Palace looked at Lin Xian with a sneer, their eyes cold. Lin Xian naturally knew what they meant, but he shook his head slightly with a touch of disdain. Shen Tianyu dared to compete with him in terms of cauldron quality. His Thousand Beast Cauldron was an Earth-rank treasure, and it was a complete Earth-rank treasure. It was not something that could be compared with a half-Earth-rank treasure. If he wanted to, he could even suppress his opponent's cauldron in an instant. But he would not do so. If the news of the Thousand Beast Cauldron leaked out, the whole world would be alarmed. At that time, those kings might also take action. If that was the case, he could not resist at all. Therefore, before he had the ability to protect himself, he would not leak this information. However, the Thousand Beast Cauldron was still useful to him. Because of Zero, he could hide the aura of the Thousand Beast Cauldron. Therefore, he only needed to maintain the aura of the Thousand Beast Cauldron at the level of a half-Earth-rank treasure, and then take it out to use. It would not arouse suspicion. After quickly communicating with Zero, Lin Xian also flicked his finger, and suddenly a black light appeared in the void. Seeing this scene, everyone looked up and craned their necks to see. The black light in the void suddenly stopped and spun quickly. Then, a small black cauldron appeared in the void. The black cauldron floated in the air, emitting a similar aura. However, unlike the fiery aura from before, this black cauldron's aura was somewhat cold. What kind of pill cauldron is this? Why does it have such a cold and gloomy aura? Everyone looked at each other. As for the Heavenly Pill Pavilion's elder, he was shocked once again. Relying on their outstanding soul force, they could clearly sense that the aura emitted by the black cauldron in the void was equally terrifying. It had also reached the level of a half-Earth rank artifact. Soon after, their hearts trembled fiercely. They had never imagined that Lin Xian would also possess a half-Earth step artifact grade pill cauldron. On the other side, Shen Tianyu's face was gloomy and even a little ferocious. He stared at the black cauldron in the sky, his body trembling slightly. Despicable, this is too despicable. He was driven mad, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Shen Tianyu was about to go crazy. He really couldn't imagine that his opponent would be able to take out a half-Earth step treasure cauldron. This was completely out of his expectations. Originally, he wanted to use the pressure of the Nanming Ignis cauldron in his hand to frighten his opponent. But now it seemed impossible, because the black cauldron that his opponent had taken out was no weaker than his. And somehow, when he faced the black cauldron, there was an instinctive fear in his heart. Damn it, how could this guy have such a good thing in his hand? Not only Shen Tianyu, but the disciples of the Shun family were also shocked. Their faces were ferocious, and they wished they could rush up and snatch the black cauldron back. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace also looked terrible. They stared fiercely at Lin Xian, and then comforted themselves. It's okay. Even if that guy took out a cauldron of the same level, so what? His strength is not as good as Brother Tianyu's. In the end, he will still lose. Even if the conditions are the same, his strength is not enough. He can't win. The disciples of the Shen family also regained their composure and shouted again. Seeing the changes in everyone's faces, Lin Xian was expressionless, but he sneered in his heart. A half-earth step treasure? These people were really silly and cute. They actually thought that Shen Tianyu could win this competition. It seemed that he had to hit them hard in the face to wake them up. Shaking his head slightly, Lin Xian ignored these people. Instead, he flicked his fingers and began to take out spiritual herbs to refine. Seeing this, Shen Tianyu snorted coldly. Then, he focused his mind and calmed his qi, and a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The next moment, he waved his hand, and groups of spiritual herbs appeared in the air, floating with his soul power. Seeing the two of them refining elixirs, the surrounding people also quieted down. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. They quietly watched this scene, and their hearts were filled with excitement. The alchemists in the field stared at the two of them, not missing a single movement. Because these two people were both top-notch alchemists, watching this kind of competition would definitely give them great inspiration. The elders of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion stared at Lin Xian. There was no other way, because Lin Xian was refining the Purple Spirit Elixir. It was the most popular elixir now. If they could learn a thing or two from Shen Tianyu's refining process, or find some clues, it would be an extremely important discovery for them. Therefore, these elders were as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They stared at Lin Xian without blinking, and did not even miss a single movement. But soon, they were disappointed because Lin Xian showed them the most common process. Some of the key processes, as well as the carving of the pill veins, were all hidden. They could not find out at all, unless they forcefully used their soul power to break it. But if they did that, they would not just be observing, but directly robbing. This was a big taboo for alchemists, so they would not do it. Moreover, Lin Xian had the immortal martial academy behind him. Even if they had 10 times the courage, they would not dare to forcefully investigate. Therefore, they could only watch helplessly, but their hearts were incomparably frantic. Although they could not see the most important part of refining the elixir, they were still incomparably shocked. It was because the methods Lin Xian displayed were truly too exquisite. Every single move he made was executed perfectly, and it caused even these seniors to sigh in admiration. Is this really a youth? Everyone was puzzled because to reach this level of attainment, it was impossible to achieve without a few hundred years. Genius, he is definitely a shocking genius. This Lin Xian's talent was definitely not inferior to Shen Tianyu's. He wondered what kind of person Lin Xian's master was. To actually be able to train such a peerless genius? Many alchemists discussed animatedly, abnormally envious. On the other hand, the Shen clan disciples' faces were dark because the better Lin Xian's performance was, the more uncomfortable they felt. Damn it, why is this guy so powerful? Impossible, he definitely won't succeed in refining it. Chapter 1064. He was also a grade 6 alchemist, but compared to Lin Xian, he was nothing. That was because Shen Tianyu's methods and experience were too exquisite. He could not be compared to Shen Tianyu. He had even surpassed Shen Tianyu. Shen Tianyu's face was gloomy. Although he was refining the elixir, he was aware of what was going on outside with his soul. When he found out about Lin Xian's skillful and exquisite methods, his face suddenly became gloomy. Not only that, but a feeling of panic suddenly arose in his heart because the strength that Lin Xian displayed was not inferior to his at all. If it were not for the restriction of his soul power, Shen Tianyu would have been a grade 7 alchemist. However, that was enough to shock him. Shen Tianyu knew that although he was also part of the younger generation, he was already in his 30s. Looking at Lin Xian's appearance, he was at most in his 20s. There was a difference of more than 10 years between the two of them. For a genius, the improvement that could be achieved in more than 10 years was extremely terrifying. In other words, if the two of them were the same age, he would definitely not be able to beat Lin Xian. That was because when he was in his 20s, he could not reach Lin Xian's level. Damn it! Shen Tianyu's heart was ferocious. I will not lose. The elixir formula of the purple spirit pill must be mine. In the end, he directly withdrew the last trace of his soul and no longer paid attention to the outside world. Instead, he focused on refining the elixir in his hands. Without saying much, Shen Tianyu's strength was amazing. He was indeed a young genius at the Grandmaster level. Under such circumstances, he was still able to quickly calm his mind and focus on refining pills. This point alone was enough to instantly kill a group of older generation figures. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was completely oblivious to all of this. He had been completely immersed in the process of refining the pill. At that moment, he was completely immersed in the process of refining the elixir and fell into a very ethereal state. It was not the first time he had refined the purple spirit pill, so he was very familiar with it. Moreover, with the 1,000 beast cauldron in his hands, refining the purple spirit pill was not a challenge for him at all. However, he still carried on meticulously, because during this process, he was able to discover his own shortcomings and improve on them. Time flowed by, and in the blink of an eye, half a day had passed. During this half a day, no one left. They didn't even move. They were like petrified statues quietly watching. Because the battle between the two of them was really too exciting, even those martial artists who didn't understand alchemy were convinced. Because all methods were connected, the other party's performance in alchemy was the same principle when it came to martial arts. Therefore, even though they did not understand alchemy, they understood this logic. And those alchemists were even more shocked, because the alchemy of these two people had long since completely surpassed them, reaching an inconceivable level. If they didn't know the exact age of these two people, they would have suspected that these two people were two old monsters in disguise. However, just as everyone was exclaiming in shock, Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was as sharp as a divine arrow. Then, he let out a low roar and quickly waved his finger, sending streams of soul power into the 1,000 beast cauldron. What? Seeing this scene, those medicinal pill elders were all stupefied. They naturally knew what Lin Xian's action meant, but because they knew, they were extremely shocked. This action meant that the refining of the pill was about to be completed, but this was simply impossible. One had to know that the other party was refining a 7th grade pill, and it was an extremely special purple spirit pill among 7th grade pills. It had only been half a day and he was already done? The elders couldn't believe it because according to their common sense, even if it was an ordinary 7th grade pill, those powerful 7th grade alchemists would need about a day or so. How could someone be like Lin Xian, refining it in half a day? Around them, those alchemists were also shocked. Each of them widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. To be able to finish refining so quickly, it definitely isn't a 7th grade pill. The gloomy young man from the Shun family said coldly. Maybe it's ruined. Many discussions sounded. In any case, no one was optimistic about Lin Xian's chances. Because this speed was too damn fast, it was impossible to refine a 7th grade pill. Lin Xian took in everyone's expressions and the corners of his mouth curled up into a disdainful smile. Indeed, under normal circumstances, it was impossible to refine a 7th grade pill in half a day, let alone an extremely special pill like the purple spirit pill. However, Lin Xian was different. He had the 1,000 beast cauldron, which was a true earth grade treasure that could greatly reduce the refining speed. Moreover, half a day was enough for Lin Xian to be waterproof. According to his actual speed, he would probably be able to refine it in 4 hours. However, he didn't dare to refine it with all his might. What if he scared those people? Now, refining in half a day had already scared those people. If he refined it in 4 hours, those people would definitely treat him as a monster and capture him to study. Lin Xian didn't want to get into trouble like that. With a wave of his hand, a light purple pill flew back and was put into the pill bottle. Then, Lin Xian recalled the 1,000 beast cauldron again. After doing that, he stood up and looked ahead with a smile. Over there, Shen Tianyu was still refining pills and had no idea what was going on outside. However, Lin Xian's lips curled up slightly. He had refined the purple spirit pill. No matter what kind of pill his opponent refined, it would be impossible for him to beat him. Therefore, he was sure to win this competition. When the crowd saw Lin Xian smile, they suddenly exclaimed in a low voice. The hearts of the Shun family disciples thumped as a bad feeling rose from the bottom of their hearts. This guy, don't tell me he really refined the purple spirit pill? How is that possible? He refined the purple spirit pill in half a day. Is he a monster? Impossible, it's definitely impossible. He must be bluffing. Yes, that must be it. The Shin family disciples shook their heads frantically. In the distance, the elders of the heavenly pill pavilion looked at each other and whispered to each other. What do you think? Looking at the pill markings and fragrance, it should be a 7th grade pill without a doubt. However, I don't know if it's the purple spirit pill. Yeah, it was too fast. I didn't see it clearly. Those few elders were also grumbling. It's fine that you refined the pill so quickly, but you didn't even show us after you finished refining the pill. Are you trying to kill us? My friend Lin, have you finished refining the pill? Finally, an elder of the heavenly pill pavilion stood out and rubbed his hands with a smile. Yes, I've finished refining it, Lin Xian answered readily. The purple spirit pill? The elder asked again. Yes, the purple spirit pill. Lin Xian nodded. Hearing this, the crowd could not help but burst into an uproar. However, the disciples of the Shun family jumped out and shouted, "Nonsense, it can't be the purple spirit pill. How can that pill be refined in such a short time?" That's right. I think you must be bluffing to get away with it. Show us if you can. That's right. If you really refined it, I'll eat the sword in my hand. I'll eat it too. I don't believe that he can really refine the purple spirit pill. Chapter 1065. The elders of the heavenly pill pavilion were also excited. They quickly said, "Young friend Lin, why don't you take it out for us to have a look? You'll have to take it out sooner or later anyway." "All right," Lin Xian said helplessly. "Originally, I wanted to wait for Brother Shin to finish refining the pill. If I reveal it halfway, I'm afraid it will affect Brother Shin's refining." "All right, stop looking for excuses. Brother Tianyu won't be affected." The disciples of the Shun family sneered and did not believe him. "All right, since you want to die, I can't do anything about it." Lin Xian opened his palm and revealed the pill bottle in his hand. "So many eyes here have seen that I have never changed this pill bottle. This means that the pill in this bottle is indeed something that I have just refined. I hope the elders of the heavenly pill pavilion can bear witness to this." "That's right, we can prove it. No one can do anything under our noses." The group of elders patted their chests and said, "Young friend Lin, quickly open it and let us have a look." Lin Xian nodded and did not hesitate. He opened the pill bottle and poured out a light purple pill. Then he waved his hand and let it float in the air. At this moment, everyone opened their eyes wide and stretched their necks to look at the sky. The next moment, they let out a wave of exclamations. "Purple spiritual pill, it's really the purple spiritual pill. What? How is this possible? Oh my God, he refined the purple spiritual pill in half a day. This is definitely a shocking alchemy prodigy. Brother Lin, you're my idol from now on." Countless people discussed animatedly, their expressions extremely excited. The elders of the heavenly pill pavilion were also shocked. They opened their eyes wide and looked at the sky. "That's right, this is definitely the purple spiritual pill. This young man has a bright future ahead of him. That's right, he looks like he's only 20 years old and already has such heaven-defying strength. I'm afraid that he might break through to become an 8th grade alchemist in the future." The group of elders of the heavenly pill pavilion shook their heads and their faces were filled with envy and amazement. However, the Shin family's disciples were dumbfounded. Each and every one of them were dumbstruck and panic-stricken. The faces of the disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were also gloomy. They did not expect that Lin Xian would actually be able to refine the purple spirit pill. This was definitely not good news for them. "Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Dream, I must be dreaming." The gloomy young man from the Chen family jumped up, his expression filled with disbelief. "Fake, I don't believe it, it must be fake." The Shen family disciples still wanted to quibble. At this time, Wang Li took a step forward and coldly shouted, "Don't quibble. Who was the one who said he wanted to eat the sword on the spot? Come out and eat it." "Sit. I heard that there are people who want to eat treasured sabers on the spot. Where are they? Let me see. The surrounding crowd also began to jeer. You are all disciples of king clans. Since he said that he would eat the sword on the spot, then let's eat it on the spot. Don't even think about running away. Otherwise, your king clan's face will be completely thrown away. Hearing this, the surrounding martial artists were extremely excited, and all of them looked at the Shen family disciple with anticipation. The Shen family disciple's face darkened, and his eyes were filled with despair. Previously, they were confident that Lin Xian would not be able to refine it, which was why they dared to boast like that. But now, he actually managed to refine it, and even wanted them to fulfill their previous promise. This made them even want to die. One had to know that that weapon was a spiritual artifact. It was incomparably hard. How could it be eaten? They probably couldn't even bite it. The group of people had sullen faces, and their expressions were extremely ugly. The group of Shen family disciples had sullen faces, and their expressions were extremely ugly. At this time, Shen Yulong also stood out and coldly shouted, "Brat, don't go too far. Don't forget that we are from the King clan. It's precisely because you are from the King clan that I have to urge you to fulfill what you said before. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good if you lose the face of the King clan." Lin Xian also sneered and said, "I know that you King clans value face the most, so you'd better eat it." Hearing this, Shen Yulong was so angry that he vomited blood, and the Shen family disciples were also so angry that their bodies trembled. At this moment, they even had the feeling of wanting to escape. When the surrounding crowd saw this scene, they were all extremely excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. This was too shocking, too exciting. One had to know that the other party was a King clan disciple, a high and mighty existence that no one dared to provoke normally. But now, Lin Xian directly broke this legend, and made the King clan disciples suffer. Moreover, they suffered a loss without being able to retaliate at all. Now that they saw the Shen family disciples' faces that were bleeding from holding back their blood, everyone could not help but want to laugh out loud. "Eat it. If you don't, you'll lose the face of the King clan." Lin Xian said, "Then you'll be punished when you return to your clan. So, I'm saying this for your own good. Hurry up and eat it on the spot. Eat your grandpa." Shen Yulong had the urge to vomit blood. For our own good? If we eat it, we'll really lose face for the King clan. So, this time, we can't eat it even if we're beaten to death. Lin Xian sighed when he saw the Shen family's disciple lowering his head and refusing to admit his mistake. Sigh, the moral degeneration of the world is getting worse day by day. I didn't expect the top King clan of the mainland to not keep their promise. It seems like this world is really tragic. Yeah, what kind of King clan are they? They can't even keep their word. Wang Li also despised at the side. When the surrounding crowd heard this, they also began to mock them. As for the Divine Bird Palace disciples, their faces darkened. They didn't want to stay any longer, so one by one, they quickly escaped quietly. They had no choice, it was too embarrassing. If they stayed any longer, they would probably be mocked to death by others. "Hey, three-headed bird, why are you leaving? Don't you want to wait for the results?" Lin Xian looked at the fleeing disciples and shouted loudly. Hearing this voice, the Divine Bird Palace disciples stiffened and almost fell down. Then, those people sped up and left the courtyard quickly without looking back. Seeing this scene, the surrounding crowd was stunned. Damn, this is too heaven-defying. With just a few words, he scared off a 6th grade middle sect disciple. This kind of scene has probably never happened before. At this time, Lin Xian once again looked at the Shen family disciples with a smile. "Hey, your allies have all run away. It seems like they have no confidence in you." Hearing Lin Xian's words and the crowd's disdain, the Shen family disciples couldn't help but lower their heads. They wished they could find a hole to hide in. The gloomy young man was even more unbearable. His whole body trembled and his face was extremely red. Then he finally couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. "Hey, he's spitting blood, he's spitting blood. The Shen family disciples are in the wrong." Looking at this scene, Wang Li cried out loudly. Hearing this, the gloomy young man trembled in anger and spat out another mouthful of blood. He was about to go crazy. Do you think it's as slow as a snail like you? Finished refining? Impossible. Shin Tianyu quickly shook his head with a look of disbelief. Then he sneered, "Why? Did you refine a 6th grade elixir?" A 6th grade elixir? Hearing this, the people around them had strange expressions. Lin Xian also sneered. "I think it's better for your own family to tell you the answer." Seeing the strange expressions of the people around him, Shin Tianyu had a bad feeling. However, he suppressed it and turned to look at the disciples of the Shin family. "Tell me, what's going on?" However, the disciples of the Shin family looked terrible and did not dare to answer. "Yulong, tell me what's going on. What kind of elixir did that kid refine?" Seeing that the disciples of the Shin family did not dare to answer, Shin Tianyu could only look at Shin Yulong. Shin Yulong's face was also gloomy. However, he still said in a low voice, "That kid refined the purple spirit elixir." "What? Purple spirit elixir?" Shin Tianyu was stunned. Those 3 words were like a bolt of lightning that struck him dumb. He never expected that Lin Xian could really refine the purple spirit elixir. Originally, in his opinion, Lin Xian's strength was not good enough and he was simply an imposter. It was impossible for him to refine a 7th grade elixir. But now, he had refined it. Of course, our brother Xian spent half a day refining the purple spirit elixir. At this time, Wang Li, who was next to him, also said proudly, "Half a day." Hearing this, Shin Tianyu's pupils constricted and he was shocked again. He was very suspicious, but when he saw the expressions of the disciples of the Shin family in front of him, his heart sank. In other words, everything that the other party said was true. In half a day, the other party had refined the extremely precious purple spirit elixir, while he had ruined the elixir. The difference between them could be said to be obvious at a glance. Thinking of this, a fire of jealousy rose in his heart and his whole body became a little twisted. One had to know that he was a proud son of God and an alchemy genius. He was extremely talented. At such a young age, he had become a 7th grade alchemist and was greatly cultivated by his family. In fact, his goal was to become an 8th grade alchemist in his lifetime. It could be said that he had never taken anyone seriously, let alone those of the same generation. Yet now, a youth who was even younger than him actually defeated him in alchemy. He could not accept this. At this moment, Shin Tianyu's heart was going crazy. He looked at the strange expressions of the people around him and his heart sank. He felt like dying. He did not want to stay here for a moment longer. However, just as he turned around, Lin Xian's voice softly floated from behind. "I say, you seem to have forgotten something. Where's the bet?" "Yes, 2 6,000-year-old spiritual herbs and 3 5,000-year-old spiritual herbs." "You shouldn't have forgotten, right?" Wang Li reminded him. Hearing this, Shin Tianyu's body trembled and he almost fell down. Those spiritual herbs were his treasures. How could he bear to part with them? However, he had already said it. There was no way he could deny it. Moreover, in front of so many people, he did not dare to deny it. Because when the time comes, it would not only be him who would be embarrassed, but the entire Shin family would be embarrassed. It could be assumed that the Murong clan also hoped that Murong Qingqing would stay with the disciples of their clan. This would greatly increase their chances of survival. As for this competition, Lin Xian did not pay attention to it anymore. Because his strength was still at the peak of the younger generation of the academy. Only Dugo Outyin and Li Yunfei could be his opponent. The others were not qualified at all. Therefore, he did not pay too much attention to them. What he was really worried about was the disciples of the other sections. For example, the Shin clan and the Murong clan. The core disciples of these king clans were not weaker than the top 10 disciples of the academy. These were the real enemies. The dark red dragon was also shocked. "I was wondering why I couldn't find it. It's a secret realm by itself." The two of them were too excited because the heavenly netherbird was a demonic beast on the heaven list. It was very useful to both of them. Needless to say, the dark red dragon needed the heavenly netherbird's blood and demonic nucleus to recover its strength. As for Lin Xian, he wanted to deal with the flame to form the fire martial soul. Originally, he just wanted to go in and get some treasures, but he didn't expect to find such a thing. Lin Xian was excited. He had to get the heavenly netherbird flame. He had a map in his hand, and it might be useful. After making a mental note of this name, Lin Xian left the exchange board. The other disciples also stared at the list excitedly and kept discussing. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was the opening day of the remote sky secret realm. The academy also gathered all the disciples who were qualified to enter the remote sky secret realm. There were a total of 100 people, and 70 of them were young disciples and 30 of them were old martial artists. These people stood on top of an enormous ancient array platform, waiting quietly. Lin Xian was naturally among them. His eyes flickered as he looked around. Finally, he looked at the older generation figures. These older generation figures were extremely powerful, far surpassing the younger generation. Most of them were at the 6th heaven of the honorable realm. Lin Xian even saw 1 or 2 7th heaven of the honorable realm experts. Immediately, he was puzzled because according to the information he received, 7th heaven of the honorable realm couldn't enter. But now, there were 7th heaven of the honorable realm standing here. This was really strange. However, the dark red dragon said, "There's nothing to be curious about. The Celestial Martial Academy should have a special method to let 7th heaven of the honorable realm in. But looking at the number of people, the method to enter must be expensive." "I see." Hearing the dark red dragon's explanation, Lin Xian understood. But then, he became cautious because if the Celestial Martial Academy had such a method, the other king factions should have the same method. If they were interested in the heavenly netherbird, the situation would be troublesome. It seemed that the remote sky secret realm was really dangerous. He had to be careful. Everyone stood on the array platform and waited quietly. Din Xian also stood at the front with her hands behind her back and looked up at the sky. A few elders near her were also whispering to each other. At the same time, on the other side of the sky martial continent, on a huge mountain, several figures floated in the clouds like immortals. They looked like they were in a dream. On the mountain, there were strange runes flashing. They were like red soldering iron, shining with a strange light. Chapter 1069. The hearts of the hundreds of disciples trembled when they saw the majestic figure. There was fear and respect in their eyes. "Uncle Shinchong, go for it." Many disciples clenched their fists. Shinchong calmed himself down and looked up at the heaven's eye in the sky. Then he said respectfully, "Forefather, I'm going in." The deep voice sounded in the sky with the might of a king. Then, Shinchong stepped out with a cold expression. When he stepped onto the dark red light platform, the entire void started to shake. The huge light formation in the sky also shook and countless cracks appeared on it. Shinchong's cultivation has improved again. An ordinary 7th heaven supremacy can't cause such a commotion. Yeah, the teleportation formation can't take it any longer. However, if he can enter, he'll definitely get a great opportunity. Don't worry, the other forces won't dare to try, but our Shen family can definitely send him in safely. Up in the sky, a few elders were having a quick discussion while the hundreds of disciples in the distance were also nervously watching this scene. Obviously, the middle-aged man called Shinchong was a 7th heaven supremacy. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for him to enter the remote sky mystery realm. However, as a sovereign family, the Shen family naturally had a special method. In the sky, the huge light formation shone brightly and quickly connected with heaven and earth. A huge tunnel appeared in the sky. However, the tunnel was extremely unstable and seemed to show signs of breaking at any time. It was the tunnel that led to the remote sky mystery realm. However, it only allowed martial artists below the 6th heaven supremacy to enter. Above this level, the tunnel would become extremely unstable. If a powerful martial artist tried to force his way in, he might be torn to pieces by the unstable spatial power. Now, the middle-aged man called Shinchong was about to experience that. Under the effect of the huge light formation, his body floated towards the dark tunnel. Then, The tunnel began to tremble slightly, forming countless shocking cracks. It was as if the Buddha wanted to devour the middle-aged man. It was a terrifying scene. If one was enveloped by the terrifying spatial power, one would not be able to escape at all. Therefore, the middle-aged man was extremely dangerous at the moment. When the hundreds of disciples saw that, they exclaimed and were extremely nervous. However, Xinchong snorted coldly in the air. He waved his hand and a stream of light appeared above his head. Tens of thousands of rays of light descended and enveloped his body. Earth Step Artifact Fragment. Seeing this scene, a disciple exclaimed, receiving a treasure fragment from the ground. When the surrounding disciples heard this, they revealed looks of envy. Even though it was just a fragment, it was something even more terrifying and precious than a half-Earth Step artifact. No wonder the other party dared to enter the remote sky secret realm despite being a 7th layer venerable. It turned out that he had a terrifying weapon like the fragment of an Earth-rank treasure artifact. Many disciples quickly discussed among themselves, and their hearts were finally at ease. Sure enough, in the void above, under the effect of the Earth-class treasure fragment, Xinchong's figure rapidly shuttled through the passageway and disappeared. After Xinchong, a few older martial artists walked out and used special methods to enter the remote heaven secret realm. After the older generation left, it was time for the younger generation. However, compared to the older generation, the younger generation was much safer. This was because none of them had surpassed the 6th heaven of Venerable Realm, so they did not have to worry about being killed by the power of space. However, it was obvious that his faction was still in control of the Palace of Ares. Below the throne, there was a middle-aged man. He was wearing a blood-red robe. His eyes were filled with arrogance like an overlord. It wasn't easy. Finally, at the last moment before the opening of the remote sky secret realm, we managed to seize control of it. The middle-aged man said with a smile. His voice was filled with joy and excitement. It's nothing. Although that guy is strong, it's not his real body. As long as we spend some time, we will be able to make him disappear one day. When that time comes, the entire palace of Ares will be mine, the skinny old man said in a deep voice. There was a hint of sharpness in his voice. Chapter 1070. That person? You mean the young man they're waiting for? The middle-aged man said, this information should be correct. However, I didn't expect that young man to be related to the Immortal Martial Academy and even be valued. After hearing that, the old man pondered for a moment before saying, it's nothing. If it's really that person, he'll definitely enter the remote sky secret realm this time. At that time, we'll send someone to kill him in the secret realm. If that's the case, they'll be completely defeated. Hearing this, a cold smile appeared on the middle-aged man's face. Lin Xian, right? Since you dare to appear, don't blame us. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not existing in this world. At the Immortal Martial Academy's side, a pitch-black tunnel also appeared. As soon as the tunnel appeared, the originally quiet scene instantly became chaotic. Then, under the command of Dean Xian and the other elders, the older generation started to enter the tunnel first. Fortunately, the Immortal Martial Academy was powerful and had a deep foundation. Therefore, the 2 7th-level honorables also entered the tunnel safely. Next, it was the younger generation. Duge Aoyan carried a long sword on his back and had a tall figure. He turned his head to look at Lin Xian and said in a deep voice, Brother Lin, I'll make a move first. After saying that, he stomped his foot and like a sword light, he instantly disappeared into the black tunnel above. Then, Li Yunfei also glanced at Lin Xian before turning around and soaring into the sky. Seeing those two figures, Lin Xian also took a deep breath. His eyes were filled with seriousness. He knew that it was his turn now. When Li Yunfei's figure also disappeared into the tunnel, Lin Xian moved. He didn't fly at an extreme speed. Instead, he flew slowly towards the black tunnel. However, just as he stepped into the black tunnel, the originally stable black tunnel suddenly trembled slightly. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned because they didn't expect this to happen at all. One had to know that only when the first two 7th level honorables entered the tunnel would there be such a phenomenon. And now, the same phenomenon was happening to Lin Xian as well. This was simply too unbelievable. In an instant, Lin Xian's expression turned extremely ugly. He couldn't understand why the black tunnel would suddenly undergo such a change. One had to know that even though he was powerful, he didn't think that he could compare to a 7th level venerated cultivator. Therefore, he couldn't figure it out at all. However, the current situation did not allow him to think too much about it. This was because from the way the passage was trembling, it seemed like it would soon shatter. Seeing this scene, the young disciples below were terrified. Even Headmaster Xian and the others had grave expressions on their faces. One had to know that Lin Xian's identity was special. He could not afford to lose him, let alone encounter danger in this passage. Thus, without any hesitation, school head Xian made her move. He formed a series of mystical hand seals that flew upwards in an attempt to take control of the black tunnel. However, it didn't seem to have much effect. On the other hand, the dark red divine dragon sent a voice transmission, D*eminent, I forgot. Although my cultivation base has dropped, my realm has indeed surpassed that of a king. It had to be known that once one became a king, their body's life level and soul would undergo heaven-defying changes. They would be completely different from supreme experts. Therefore, even though the dark red divine dragon's cultivation base was gone, his body and soul mark were truly at the king realm. However, such power was not allowed to pass through the black tunnel. Hearing the dark red divine dragon's words, Lin Xian's expression became even more unsightly. What could he do? He had two choices now. One was to leave the dark red divine dragon behind and enter the black tunnel alone. However, even though he would be safe in that way, the restrictions in the remote heavenly secret realm would become his biggest problem. After all, he had also learned formation restrictions from the dark red divine dragon and was far superior to ordinary formation masters. However, the ancient restrictions were not child's play. With his current strength, it would probably be very difficult for him to go against them. Therefore, unless he had no other choice, he didn't want to leave the dark red divine dragon behind at all. However, if he didn't leave the dark red divine dragon behind, he would be killed by the spatial power. He wouldn't be able to resist such power either. Therefore, facing him now seemed to be a dead end. Zero, do you have a way? Lin Xian had no choice but to send a voice transmission to Zero. Zero didn't say anything. Instead, he directly activated the Thousand Beast Cauldron and shot out a black halo that enveloped Lin Xian's body. With the support of the Earth Tier treasure, Lin Xian was completely safe. Then, he quickly passed through the black tunnel and finally disappeared. Seeing this, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. That scared me to death. What happened just now? Why did something happen to the black tunnel? It shouldn't be. Although Lin Xian's strength is outstanding, it's far from being a threat to the black tunnel. I think there must be a mistake. No matter what, the strange phenomenon has disappeared. Lin Xian can be considered to have entered safely. The elders were completely relieved. However, they didn't notice the black light shot out by the Thousand Beast Cauldron. They all thought that the black tunnel had calmed down by itself. It couldn't be helped. The black light was similar in color to the black tunnel. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to tell at all. Moreover, when Zero was controlling it, he had used a relatively low-key method. Therefore, it was normal that the elders didn't notice it at first. However, Dean Xian frowned slightly. He had caught a glimpse of the faint light just now. However, he was just curious and didn't think much of it. Lin Xian didn't know about this because he was still in a strange space under the effect of the spatial teleportation. With a flash of white light, Lin Xian's figure appeared in the void. However, he immediately frowned. When the spatial power disappeared, an extremely heavy force supported his body. It was as if a mountain was pressing down on him. This is? Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. He quickly activated the art of longevity. The spiritual energy in his body surged and formed a force to resist the gravity. Then, he landed safely and heaved a sigh of relief. The dark red dragon also came out of the storage ring. It kept waving its dragon claws in fear. Damn, that scared me to death. That was so dangerous. Chapter 1071. The air in the remote sky secret realm was heavier than Lin Xian had imagined. It also had an ancient aura. The remote sky secret realm was a secret realm that had been passed down since ancient times. It was extremely mysterious. Even after so many years, the various forces of the Sky Martial Continent had sent their elite disciples in. However, they had only explored 10 or 20% of the secret realm. It was impossible to explore the whole picture. In other words, more than 80% of the secret realm had not been explored. After analyzing this, Lin Xian's expression did not look good. However, he did not give up. He could give up on other treasures, but he had to find the heavenly netherbird. Don't worry, little Xian. According to my judgment, the heavenly netherbird is definitely in this secret realm. The dark red dragon said, however, our first task is not to find the heavenly netherbird, but to find treasures to increase our strength quickly. After all, no one knew what state the heavenly netherbird was in. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. The dark red dragon was right. This place was extremely dangerous. It was best to increase one's strength first. Just as the two of them were conversing, there was another fluctuation in the void. Figures appeared in the void and quickly descended. Obviously, those who appeared later were also disciples of the Immortal Martial Academy. However, they had just entered and were naturally suppressed by the gravity here. Each of them was like a meteor as they fell violently. However, these disciples of the Immortal Martial Academy were not ordinary people. Therefore, after a moment of panic, they calmed down and used their methods to safely land. However, these people did not land in the same place as Lin Xian. They landed in a different area. They were a few thousand meters away from Lin Xian, and there were two mountains in between. In fact, Lin Xian understood after thinking about it. The black passageway allowed at most a sixth heaven venerable to pass through. Venerables above the sixth heaven could enter the passageway by ingenious means, but they could not stay with the crowd. Instead, they were randomly sent to remote sky mystery land. In other words, the two seventh heaven venerables from the Immortal Martial Academy were not here at all. As for Lin Xian, because he was carrying the dark red dragon, there were some abnormalities and he deviated from the path. Fortunately, Zero acted in time, so the trajectory did not deviate by much. In the beginning, Lin Xian was not familiar with the hidden sky secret realm, so he did not plan to act alone. Instead, he planned to stay with the team for a period of time and make a decision after he had a thorough understanding of the place. With a flicker, Lin Xian flew towards the place where everyone was about to land. However, even though it was said to be flying, it was actually jumping because the air here was extremely dense, even suppressing martial artists from flying. This didn't mean that Lin Xian couldn't fly, but it would consume a lot of spiritual energy. In this unfamiliar place, preserving his strength was the most important thing. Therefore, Lin Xian only used his movement technique and quickly ran on the ground. At the front, the older generation figures and young disciples had completely settled down after landing. Then, they began to size up the surroundings and count the number of people. Very soon, they frowned because they realized that Lin Xian wasn't with them apart from the two seventh-level venerables. This greatly surprised them. However, they soon heaved a sigh of relief because they saw Lin Xian flying towards them quickly. "You're finally here. We thought you were randomly teleported out too," Bing Ling said worriedly in the crowd. No, there was a slight deviation during the teleportation process. Fortunately, it wasn't too far away. Lin Xian shrugged and returned to the team. They all sped up to provide support. Lin Xian tapped his foot and flew out like a puff of smoke. Soon he saw the scene in front of him. There, over 10 disciples were fighting with a pack of demonic wolves. This pack of demonic wolves was extremely terrifying. They had already reached the level of demon general. Moreover, the demonic chi on their bodies condensed into armor, making them even more difficult to deal with. For a moment, these demonic wolves were actually locked in battle with the disciples in front of them. This was too shocking. One must know that these disciples of the Immortal Martial Academy were all geniuses. In the outside world, ordinary demon generals were not their opponents. They could almost be killed in a single move. Even demon generals of the same level would not be in such a sorry state. However, the grayish-brown plants did not let these people go, especially the few disciples who were sent flying. Countless vines quickly wrapped around them. Seeing this, Lin Xian coldly snorted. He flicked out a thunderstorm sword ripple with his finger, which was as fast as lightning, slashing forward. The sound of an intense collision rang out. Terrifying energy spread out in all directions, instantly tearing the ground apart. Countless energy collided, forming a violent wind that swept up sand and dust, like a tornado that swept in all directions. Lin Xian's sword was very sharp. It directly cut off the grayish-brown branches. Thank you, Brother Lin. The few disciples were also frightened. They quickly retreated and joined the others. However, although everyone gathered together, they did not look good. This was because scarlet blood flowed out from the broken branches, instantly dyeing the ground red. Seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and felt their scalps go numb. A tree branch could actually bleed. This was the first time they had seen such a scene. Before anyone could react, a shrill cry suddenly came from the depths of the ground. Immediately after, the entire ground trembled as if a huge monster had awakened. It quickly drilled out from the ground. The ground bulged and then countless cracks appeared as it quickly rushed into the distance. A huge tree demon crawled up from the ground and roared ferociously. Its voice was terrifying. This tree demon was very large, almost 100 meters tall. There was a flat cut on its upper left side, which was caused by Lin Xian's sword chi. Lin Xian's sword chi had angered the tree demon below. It roared and its branches trembled. Like poisonous snakes, they quickly lashed out at the crowd. Be careful, these branches are highly poisonous. Lin Xian quickly reminded them. At the same time, he calmly dodged the attacks of the countless branches. Everyone knew how powerful it was and did not dare to fight it head-on. They all fled. At this moment, a cold shout was heard. Among the crowd, Chi Hao roared and waved his huge palm, slamming it to the left. This palm was extremely terrifying. It shook the surroundings and the entire void was mercilessly torn apart. The blue palm was like a vast ocean, fiercely blasting towards the gray tree demon. However, the tree demon also roared. The countless branches on its body waved and quickly intertwined, forming a gray fist that blasted forward. An earth-shattering sound was heard. The tree demon's fist actually blocked the ocean blue palm shadow. Furthermore, the power formed by the countless branches even pushed Chi Hao back through the blue light pillar. Seeing this, everyone's hearts trembled. They could not believe it. Who was Chi Hao? He was an expert in the top 10 of the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard. However, he was unable to take down the tree demon. This was simply too shocking. No wonder it was said that the remote sky mystery realm was extremely terrifying. Now, it seemed that it was true. However, it was fortunate that Chi Hao was only pushed back and was not injured. On the other side, Lin Xian roared coldly and quickly waved his arm. Previously, he had only been in control of the situation and would only act when there was danger. However, he could not care less now. The gray tree demon's strength was beyond his expectations. He had to act quickly and defeat it. Countless pieces of ice gathered and formed an icy blue fist that blasted forward. The tree demon roared angrily. The branches on its body trembled and formed a huge gray shield in front of it. They were not on the same level as the younger disciples. It seemed that his greatest enemy in the obscure secret mirror this time was the older generation of the other forces. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's heart turned heavy. He did not dare to be careless. After killing the tree demon, the older generation began to organize the tree demon's corpse as materials for refining weapons. The other younger disciples quickly sat down cross-legged to recover their strength. Not long after, the older generation finished their work. The younger generation also opened their eyes, stood up, and set off again. Along the way, the crowd did not speak. They all walked forward in silence because they did not want to stay in the illusory sea zone any longer. Some of the wealthier younger disciples even took out demonic beasts from their demonic beast pouches as mounts. In this way, the cultivator would be able to save a great deal of strength, and they would be able to display their greatest combat strength in battle. Lin Xian rubbed his chin when he saw this scene. He had 2 demonic beasts in his possession as well. However, he thought about it and didn't take them out in the end. One of his demonic beasts was the gold-wing eagle, and the other was the gold-eye toad. However, flying was restricted in this place, so the gold-wing eagle wasn't of much use. Moreover, even though this place was called the illusory sea, the surroundings were dry like a desert. So, the gold-eye toad was probably unable to display much of its strength here. So, it was better to travel on foot. At dusk, the afterglow of the setting sun. Everyone's shadows were long on the ground. At this moment, the scorching temperature in the surroundings had gradually vanished, and it was replaced by a trace of gloomy coldness. Everyone was shocked when they sensed the changes in the surroundings, and they frowned. Elder Song had a solemn expression as well, and he said in a low voice, "The illusory sea zone is extremely famous. According to rumor, it's extremely hot during the day and extremely cold at night. It's even capable of freezing Exalt Realm cultivators to death. So, let's speed up and find a safe place to spend the night." Freeze Exalt Realm cultivators to death. Everyone's eyelids twitched when they heard that, and they gasped. How strong were Exalt Realm cultivators? They were powerhouses, yet such figures could actually be frozen to death? One could imagine how terrifying the temperature was. Sure enough, as if to prove Elder Song's words, a cold wind blew in the surroundings not long after. A bone-piercing chill quickly spread, and the sand beneath their feet turned from boiling hot to icy cold. Everyone couldn't help but quicken their pace when they sensed the chill. At this moment, a cry of surprise was suddenly heard. "Damn, what's that?" A disciple pointed at the sky in the distance and shouted. There was even a trace of fear in his voice. Everyone raised their heads and looked over when they heard that. Then they were all dumbstruck and stunned on the spot. Lin Xian was similarly shocked, and his heart thumped wildly. However, he had seen too many strange things, so even though he was shocked, he wasn't stunned. However, his expression was extremely unsightly because a huge shadow had appeared on the horizon in the distance. It was like a dark cloud. However, relying on his outstanding soul power, Lin Xian knew that it wasn't a dark cloud at all. Because the huge shadow was covered in scales, and it was very obvious that it was a demonic beast. However, this made him even more shocked. Because only a portion of its body was revealed, yet it covered half the sky. Exactly how big was the demonic beast's hand? The mysterious demonic beast's huge body circled in the sky like a dark cloud, and it pressed down on everyone to the point that they couldn't breathe. Then, 2 rays of light that were like the sun appeared. Everyone knew that those were the eyes of the huge demonic beast. "Everyone be careful. Don't move." Elder Song warned coldly. The sky was fine, so where did such a huge demonic beast come from and spit out so much seawater? However, this made them even more alarmed because in this remote sky mystic realm, there might be a huge threat at any time. The undercurrents underground became more and more rapid, and finally, like darkness, they drowned everyone. After an unknown period of time, the undercurrents gradually disappeared, and the surrounding light returned to normal. Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. He looked around and then opened his mouth wide. This was because the current underwater world was completely different from when they had just come up. When they had just come down, there were undercurrents, and it was a land of death. However, it was different now, and the surrounding seawater was calm. There were countless creatures around, and what was even more shocking was that there were black shadows in front of them that were like huge mountains. However, Lin Xian's soul power was outstanding, and he could clearly sense that it wasn't an underwater volcano, but a building. Underwater buildings, and it was a stretch. This was simply too amazing. At this moment, not only Lin Xian, but the older generation figures also noticed the abnormality. They all frowned and looked ahead cautiously. Not long after, The younger disciples also noticed it, and soon, someone exclaimed, "Oh my God, the underwater world! Could this be the Dragon Palace?" The Dragon Palace. Hearing this, everyone's hearts trembled. At this moment, another person exclaimed, "The Dragon Palace? That's a land of treasures. Could this really be a land of treasures?" Hearing this, everyone was excited. Their main purpose in coming to this remote sky mystic realm was to look for treasures. Now, there was an unknown land of treasures in front of them. How could they not be excited? Lin Xian was also very surprised because he did feel a shocking energy fluctuation from the buildings in front of him. However, he didn't know whether it was a treasure or not. Elder Song, what should we do? The group of disciples looked at the older generation figures with anticipation. Elder Song and the other older generation figures quickly discussed, then nodded and decided to investigate. Suddenly, everyone cheered. They quickly scouted around and then carefully moved forward. Gradually, everyone got closer to the underground buildings, then they exclaimed one by one. One had to admit that the buildings were too majestic. It was like a palace at the bottom of the sea, shining with colorful lights. On the walls, there were carvings of dragons, as if they were real dragons. Could this really be the Dragon Palace? Seeing this, many people swallowed their saliva. Most of the doors here were closed. Could there be some kind of restriction? Li Yunfei frowned and said, because he tried a few times and found that the doors couldn't be opened at all. The other disciples didn't believe it and tried a few times, but it was to no avail. Lin Xian frowned slightly, then quickly probed with his soul power. It was almost the same as the number of disciples from the Immortal Martial Academy. Moreover, what made them even more shocked was that these shrimp soldiers were not only holding icy blue spears, but they were also wearing navy blue armor. They were like an army, with a biting, cold, murderous aura. Chapter 1076. At this moment, an even larger shrimp soldier walked over from afar. He was clad in azure armor and carried a blue cape behind his back. He looked mighty and extraordinary, but his huge shrimp head made him look even weirder. The shrimp soldier who looked like a leader walked out and stared coldly at the front. Then he mumbled something in an unknown language. However, this wasn't a human language, so the crowd couldn't understand him. Lin Xian frowned. He didn't know this language either. However, the crimson dragon beside him jumped up and said, "Fuck! You dare to be so arrogant in front of me? You must be tired of living." "You can understand him?" a disciple asked. They were already used to the Crimson Dragon's behavior. Lin Xian looked over and said, "Since you can understand him, then explain it to us." After hearing Lin Xian's words, Ruffian Dragon said angrily, "Damn it! A bunch of shrimp soldiers actually dared to threaten us and say that this place belongs to them. They want us to hand over our treasures and storage rings. Otherwise, they'll kill us without mercy." After hearing this, the crowd's faces darkened. Ruffian Dragon was also furious. "You're the first ones who dare to rob me. I'll let you know the consequences of robbing me." The Crimson Dragon roared in anger. After hearing this, the Immortal Martial Academy's disciples were also furious. They glared at the shrimp soldiers. A bunch of shrimp soldiers actually dared to rob them? How audacious! One had to know that they weren't here to be bullied. They were here to find treasures. Tell them to scram. Otherwise, they'll be killed without mercy, Elder Song said in a deep voice. After that, the Crimson Dragon spoke a bunch of gibberish. It was obvious that it passed the message to the shrimp soldiers. After hearing this, the shrimp soldiers were instantly enraged and started to roar. After hearing this, the leader of the shrimp soldiers had a sinister look on his face. The blue demonic chi on his body started to churn. It was obvious that he was enraged by the Crimson Dragon's words. In the next moment, he raised the blue spear in his hand and stabbed it toward Lin Xian and the others. Then he started to utter strange sounds. They're going to attack. The Crimson Dragon stomped his feet in anger. Sure enough, the surrounding prawn soldiers quickly waved their spears, forming a blue light that connected together like a wave, surging towards the group. The shrimp soldier leader also made his move. His terrifying strength shook the surroundings, and it wasn't any weaker than the older generations. Within the crowd, Dugu Outyen coldly snorted. His tall figure took a step forward. He quickly pulled out the long sword on his back and slashed forward. This sword was extremely sharp. It sliced apart the entire seawater, creating a vacuum. Soon, their attacks collided, and a terrifying energy burst forth. The seawater was torn apart, and the buildings in the surroundings were blasted apart, forming countless powerful shockwaves that forced the students of the Immortal Martial Academy and the prawn soldiers to retreat. When they saw this scene, everyone was shocked and their hearts trembled. They never thought that the shrimp soldier leader would be so powerful to actually be able to contend against Dugu Outyen. It could be said that the scene before them had exceeded their expectations. However, just when these people were in a daze, the prawn soldiers in the surroundings once again rushed over, piercing towards the students of the Immortal Martial Academy. This was the underwater world, and these prawn soldiers had a huge advantage in the sea. However, the students of the Immortal Martial Academy weren't to be trifled with. They were all geniuses and elites from various places, and their combat strength wasn't something that ordinary paragons could compare to. Therefore, at this moment, facing the attacks of the Cancer Tribe, they could only passively defend and were unable to cause any destructive damage to the other party. Just as the Divine Bird Palace and the Cancer Tribe were engaged in an intense battle, the Immortal Martial Academy team arrived at the back. So it's the Divine Bird Palace. Elder Song and the rest looked ahead and squinted their eyes. At the same time, they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. Although the Divine Bird Palace was powerful, it was only a 6th grade sect. It was still slightly inferior to a king clan. On the other hand, they were a true king clan force. Therefore, if both parties were to fight for the Dragon Palace, they would have a higher chance of winning. On the other hand, Lin Xian frowned as he looked at those figures. To be honest, he did not have a good impression of the Divine Bird Palace. Previously, both parties were sworn enemies. Moreover, not long ago in Wind-Seeking City, those people from the Divine Bird Palace had also slandered him. It could be said that both parties were like fire and water. If he met them alone, Lin Xian would definitely not let them go. However, now that he was with the Immortal Martial Academy, it was not good for him to do anything out of line. However, he still snorted coldly. The Divine Bird Palace naturally saw the people from the Immortal Martial Academy. At the same time, they also saw Lin Xian. However, this was obviously not the time to bear grudges. Soon, an elder from the Divine Bird Palace shouted, "So it's the Immortal Martial Academy. You guys came at the right time. Quickly join forces with us and defeat the Cancer Tribe." They were unable to fully utilize their advantage underwater. Therefore, it was a headache to deal with the Cancer Tribe. However, they did not expect to meet the people from the Immortal Martial Academy. Of course, they would ask for help and join forces. As for seizing the Dragon Palace, they would talk about it after they defeated the Cancer Tribe and were safe. Elder Song and the other elders discussed quickly and finally decided to lend a hand. This was because they were also unable to fully utilize their combat strength underwater. Moreover, from the scene just now, the Cancer Tribe was even more difficult to deal with than the Shrimp Tribe. Therefore, they decided to join forces with the Divine Bird Palace. Speaking of which, the Immortal Martial Academy and the Divine Bird Palace were not easy to deal with. This was because in the matter of the War God Palace, the Divine Bird Palace supported the Vice Palace Lord. On the other hand, the people from the Immortal Martial Academy were unwavering in their support of the true Palace Lord of the War God Palace. Therefore, both sides could be said to be opposing sides. However, they were now in the underwater world. In the face of such danger, they could not care about anything else. They could only join forces first. Soon, Elder Song and the rest led the disciples from the Immortal Martial Academy up the stairs. However, this time, Lin Xian did not rush up. Instead, his speed was very slow. He was even at the back of the group. He would not join forces with the people from the Divine Bird Palace. Although Lin Xian was not going to deal with them, it did not mean that he would help them. Following behind the group, Lin Xian acted like a bystander. At the same time, he expanded his soul force and quickly scanned the surroundings. The dark red divine dragon also followed beside him. He did not have a good impression of the three-headed birds. Woo woo woo. The little snow monkey also jumped out. Its big gem-like eyes looked around in a daze. In the next moment, it sat on Lin Xian's shoulder and started to take out spiritual fruits to eat. Lin Xian was having a leisurely time. However, the situation at the front was not. The Cancer tribe was extremely powerful. Therefore, both sides were going all out. Chapter 1078. This slash was extremely sharp. Moreover, the seniors were very experienced. Every slash was able to hit the vital points of the giant scorpion tribe. They would either severely injure the giant scorpion tribe or kill it directly. Instead, the confidence of the Divine Bird Palace was greatly boosted. One of the elders was dressed in purple, and even his hair was purple. He shouted coldly. The two bird heads on his shoulders became more solid. At the same time, streaks of lightning appeared on his body, making him look like a thunder god. With a wave of his hand, chains of lightning crisscrossed. The crackling sound spread throughout the sea. In an instant, the surrounding area became a sea of lightning. Countless streaks of purple lightning struck in all directions. The two major powers joined forces and attacked with all their might. Soon, the giant scorpion tribe was forced to retreat. This time, the elder from the Divine Bird Palace said loudly, "Everyone, why don't we kill our way through in one go?" Alright. Elder Song and the rest nodded. They had the same idea too. This was an excellent opportunity for them to join forces and unleash their full strength. Otherwise, it would be difficult for the Immortal Martial Academy to get through the giant scorpion tribe alone. Seeing that the Immortal Martial Academy had agreed, the Divine Bird Palace was excited. They quickly said, the giant scorpion tribe was extremely strong and hard to deal with. However, their speed shouldn't be too fast. We should charge with all our might and leave them far behind. We just need to leave this place quickly. Hearing this, the elders and the rest nodded. They also realized that the giant scorpion tribe was extremely strong. However, their agility was much weaker than the prawn tribe. Therefore, they quickly agreed to this suggestion. The two sides joined forces and sped up. The elders opened up a path in front, forming a powerful combat force. They forcefully opened up a bloody path through the giant scorpion tribe. Behind them, the giant scorpion tribe roared crazily. However, their huge bodies were greatly hindered by the sea. Their speed was far slower than Lin Xian and the rest. Therefore, they could only watch as they left. They couldn't catch up at all. After successfully leaving the giant scorpion tribe's territory, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Many of them patted their chests in excitement because they were one step closer to the Dragon Palace. Lin Xian followed behind the group without any expression. According to his soul force, there were other sea demons behind the giant scorpion tribe. It wouldn't be easy to get close to the Dragon Palace. However, at this moment, the dark red divine dragon was extremely excited. "Brat, do you feel it? This power is very strong." Lin Xian nodded. Indeed, he felt an obscure yet powerful force coming from the front. Needless to say, it came from the Dragon Palace. At this moment, Zero spoke for the first time. What a powerful force. When Lin Xian heard this, he raised his eyebrows and asked, "Zero, do you need this power?" "I don't need it for now, but I think it's better to give it to you. Don't worry, I will fully support you this time. Your current strength is too weak. You can't leave this world at all. You have to quickly increase your strength and reach Alchemy Ancestor as soon as possible." With Zero's assurance, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. He knew that even if the two sides were to fight, his chances of winning were higher. One had to know that Zero could control the Thousand Beast Cauldron, which was an Earth-rank treasure. Although it could only release a trace of its power, it was not something an ordinary warrior could contend with. Just as Lin Xian and Zero were talking, Elder Song and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace were also communicating quickly. Finally, they decided to set off again. The Xian Turtle clan is in front. Which sect do you come from? Elder Song quickly asked after he had finished speaking. This was because they were too shocked. They had never heard of someone with such strength at such a young age. Zhao Shui from the Void Sky School. Her voice was ice-cold as she quickly swept her gaze over Elder Song and the others. Although Zhao Shui was powerful, Elder Song and the others weren't weak either. Moreover, there were many of them. Their strength couldn't be ignored. Zhao Shui, Duga Outyen Li Yunfei, and the others whispered, remembering this name. The eyes of the Divine Bird Palace's disciples also lit up as they stared at Zhao Shui. There was nothing they could do. She was too beautiful. However, they had never heard of the Void Sky School. Chapter 1081. Xiantian School? Hearing that name, everyone was startled. They had never heard of that name in the Tianwu continent. Could it be some ancient sect? Everyone guessed. As for Lin Xian, he frowned. His expression was gloomy. Just now, Zhao Shui's gaze had swept over him. However, there was no expression on her face. It was as if she was looking at a stranger. That shocked him. He didn't dare to believe it. It had to be known that his relationship with Zhao Shui was extremely good. There was no reason for her to not recognize him. Furthermore, that cold expression didn't seem to be an act. Damn it, did something happen to Zhao Shui? Did she lose her memory? Lin Xian guessed. He couldn't have mistaken her for someone else. Furthermore, she was also called Zhao Shui. Furthermore, he was very familiar with that eye technique. Thus, he was certain that this woman was his old friend. However, she didn't recognize him. That meant that something must have happened to her that caused her to lose her memory. No, I have to find an opportunity to ask her. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He didn't have many friends, and Zhao Shui was undoubtedly one of them. He didn't rashly go up. He decided to observe for a while longer and find an opportunity to ask her. While everyone was discussing, Zhao Shui turned around and flew inside. Everyone looked at each other. Then they clenched their teeth and followed. Not long after, they were shocked. There was a palace in front of them. That palace was extremely grand, far surpassing the surrounding buildings. There were two huge black tortoise statues on both sides of the palace. They seemed real, and they gave off an ancient aura. Zhao Shui stood in front of the palace. She frowned slightly and coldly said to the people behind her, "The things in this palace are mine. You can do whatever you want with the rest." Her voice was cold and even contained a trace of dominance. Everyone was silent. However, their gazes were fiery as they stared ahead. However, no one dared to go up. Elder Song and the others' gazes flickered. In the end, they clenched their teeth and didn't go up. That Xintian Eye was too terrifying. None of them were confident that they could withstand the Void Sky Eye. Moreover, the expert of the Xian Turtle clan had been driven away by this woman, so this palace ought to belong to her. Based on the above 2 points, Elder Song and the people of Divine Bird Palace did not make a move. However, there was more than one palace here. Therefore, everyone was only envious for a moment before dispersing in all directions. Although they couldn't get the best one, they wouldn't let go of the other treasures. The Xian Turtle clan was very powerful and was very close to the Dragon Palace. There might be some treasures hidden here. Lin Xian smiled when he saw that everyone was going to search for treasures. In terms of strength, he was not the strongest here. However, in terms of control over the Xian Turtle clan, no one could compare to him. Although he was the same as the others and had never been here before, not long ago, he controlled a black tortoise. Moreover, it was a leader-level black tortoise. Based on the black tortoise leader's understanding of this place, it was definitely in control. Therefore, Lin Xian was not worried about the treasure hunt at all. Secretly controlling the Thousand Beast Cauldron, Lin Xian contacted the black tortoise leader he controlled. Soon, through the Black Tortoise leader, he learned of a secret treasure location. With a flash, Lin Xian took the dark red dragon and the snow-white monkey and quickly flew into the distance. After passing through many pavilions and buildings, he saw the Black Tortoise leader he controlled. Under the guidance of the Black Tortoise leader, Lin Xian entered a 6-story pavilion. This pavilion was octagonal, like a pagoda, standing there. On the first floor, there were 6 Black Tortoise guards. In the future, this would be an important place for the Xian Turtle clan. However, with the Black Tortoise leader, the 6 Black Tortoises were quickly sent away. Without the guards guarding the door, Lin Xian moved quickly. He turned into a sword light and instantly rushed in. There were many restrictions on the way, but there was no need for the dark red dragon to do anything. He controlled the Black Tortoise leader and quickly broke them all. After entering, Lin Xian's eyes lit up because he smelled an extremely rich spiritual medicine. Damn, what a rich fragrance! The dark red dragon was drooling. The snow-white monkey also cheered. Its big eyes narrowed into crescents. Its body swayed and turned into a white light, flying into the distance. Damn, leave some for me. Lin Xian did not dare to tarry when he saw the frenzied looks on the two of them. He quickly executed his movement skill and dashed forward. Bang! The door of a secret room was opened. This was a medicine garden. It was about 2 acres, but it was filled with all kinds of spiritual medicine. Light flowed on it, emitting an extremely rich fragrance. When Lin Xian saw it, he sucked in a breath of cold air because these were all precious spiritual medicine. They were absolutely rare, and many of them were extinct in the outside world. I'm rich, I'm rich! Lin Xian cheered. As an alchemist, he was even more interested in spiritual medicine. With these top-grade spiritual medicine, he could refine all kinds of precious elixirs. What are you looking at? Hurry up and do it. The dark red dragon was crazy, drooling. On the other side, the snow-white monkey was making a few noises. Lin Xian did not dare to delay. In order to increase his speed, he even used the thunderstorm wings. Together with the illusory demonic steps, his speed reached the extreme. However, he did not collect all of them. Instead, he collected the best ones. Every time he took action, it was an extremely precious spiritual medicine. Hey, purple thunderflower, I need it. Whirlpool flower. Golden thread grass. Lin Xian was overjoyed. Most of the spiritual medicine here were what he needed. One had to know that he had countless elixir recipes, among which there was no lack of rare ancient elixir recipes. However, although he had elixir recipes, he did not have any spiritual medicine. In other words, he could only watch. However, he was no longer a child. The spiritual medicine in front of him were all top grade and could help him refine countless precious elixirs. Perhaps there were other treasures in the huge palace, but for Lin Xian, this was the best. In the medicine garden, Lin Xian's body flashed quickly and collected the spiritual medicine. Because there was no restriction, the fragrance of the medicine wafted out and immediately attracted a few warriors nearby. Near the pavilion, there were a few disciples of the Divine Bird Palace. They investigated for a while but did not find anything special. Originally, they wanted to leave. However, suddenly, a fragrance wafted over. After smelling it, the disciples suddenly widened their eyes. It smells so good. This is a spiritual medicine. Yes, and it's not an ordinary spiritual medicine. It's definitely a top-grade spiritual medicine. The disciples looked at each other and saw the passion in each other's eyes. Let's go and have a look. Oh, we're rich this time. We must be ahead of everyone. Chapter 1082. Spiritual Medicine. This is a supreme-grade spiritual medicine. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were overjoyed when they discovered the situation. Let's move quickly. We have to occupy this place as soon as possible. We can't let others find out, especially those from the Immortal Martial Academy. The few of them were excited. They chased after the aura and flew quickly. Soon, they arrived at the front of the pavilion. It's here, let's go in. The few of them did not hesitate and quickly entered the pavilion. They were very fast and soon saw the herb garden full of supreme-grade spiritual medicine. Damn, so many spiritual medicine. We're rich, we're really rich this time. These spiritual medicine could not be found in the outside world. Each of them could be sold for a sky-high price. They were extremely precious. The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were very excited. Their eyes were red and they rushed forward crazily. However, before they could get close, they were blocked by a few Black Tortoise guards. Damn, there are people from the Black Tortoise clan here. After being blocked, the few of them were furious and their faces were very ugly. Because they had been unimpeded all the way, they thought that there was no one guarding this place. However, they did not expect to be blocked by a Black Tortoise just as they approached the herb garden. They couldn't accept it. How could they accept it? There are 4 of us and only 3 of them. As long as we attack with all our might, we can definitely get through. A disciple of the Divine Bird Palace said quickly. The other 3 nodded and then attacked with all their might. However, they still underestimated the Black Tortoise clan. After fighting for a while, they could not get through at all. They even wanted to use their speed advantage to leave the Black Tortoises behind, but it did not happen in the end. Because the space here was small, it was not convenient for them to use their movement techniques. Damn it, these Black Tortoises are so difficult to deal with. Damn, I'm so angry. The treasure is right in front of us, but we can't get it. Who can understand this feeling? I'm going crazy. The 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were going crazy. At this moment, one of them widened his eyes and pointed in front of him in disbelief. He looked as if he had seen a ghost and his eyes almost popped out. That was because he had discovered a figure in the premium herb garden who was rapidly harvesting spiritual herbs. Damn, look, there's someone. The disciple screamed. Someone? Stop joking, how can there be someone in there? We're so powerful and we can't get in, how can others go in? Unless it's a senior figure. Yes, but when we came here, we didn't find any traces of the older generation. Are you so mad that you're hallucinating? The other 3 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace didn't believe him. However, when they turned to look inside, they were all stunned. Fuck your grandpa, what's going on? Fuck, there's someone, there's really someone. Motherfucker, he's not from the older generation. Seeing this scene, the 4 disciples of Sacred Bird Palace were completely stunned. They stood there motionlessly. That was because they discovered that the figure in front of them was not someone from the older generation. However, this was not the most shocking thing. What shocked them the most was that they actually discovered something else. Fuck, what did I just see? The snake, a red snake. How did it get in? Oh, my eyes are going blind. Why is there a furry thing? Who can tell me how the 3 of them got in? The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were dumbfounded because they couldn't figure out how the other party got in. After all, the 4 of them couldn't blast away the other party's 3 black turtles even after risking their lives. At this time, inside the herb garden, the dark red dragon also turned around and looked at the 4 figures outside the door. He quickly said, "Hey, there are 4 little reptiles coming." Lin Xian didn't even turn his head. He quickly said, "Ignore them. Hurry up and pick them. We'll leave as soon as we're done." He wasn't worried at all because with the black turtles, those people couldn't enter at all. By the time those elders came in, he had already finished plucking the fruits. Therefore, Lin Xian ignored the 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace outside. The dark red dragon turned around and revealed a very disdainful smile. He then extended his dragon claw and looked down on them. Seeing this, the faces of the 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace outside suddenly turned green. Motherfucker, what is he doing? How dare he look down on me? Stinky reptile, come out. Believe it or not, I'll kill you in minutes. I can't stand it, I can't stand it. I'm going to kill them. The 4 of them were going crazy. When had they ever been looked down on? Moreover, the other party was a snake. However, they couldn't beat the 3 black turtles in front of them, so they could only vomit blood in anger. Hey, that's not right. Why aren't the 3 of them attacked? After messing around for a while, the 4 of them calmed down and looked inside with a suspicious look. It was because it was too strange. The 3 black turtles attacked them when they saw them, but they didn't attack the 3 people inside. It was too strange. Damn it, don't these black turtles have bad eyesight? Can't they see the situation behind them? No, let's draw the attention of the black turtles and let them attack the kid inside. We'll take advantage of the chaos to go in. The 4 of them discussed and acted again. However, no matter how hard they struggled, the 3 black turtles ignored Lin Xian and didn't respond at all. Oh God, can someone tell me what's going on? Are these 3 black turtles blind? Damn it, there are 3 big people inside. You don't fight them but target the 4 of us. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? The 4 of them were going crazy because there were top-grade spiritual herbs inside. Every one of them was a heaven-defying treasure. However, they were so close, but they could only watch helplessly. This was definitely a scene that would make one vomit blood. Don't try anymore. It's useless. There might be a special restriction inside that prevents these black turtles from entering. One of them said. Hearing this, the other 3 fell silent because this was the only explanation that could explain the situation in front of them. Then what should we do? Are we going to give up just like that? Let that kid take advantage of us? They didn't recognize Lin Xian because at this moment, Lin Xian is maintaining a high-speed state, leaving behind afterimages. So, it's normal that they didn't recognize Lin Xian. Otherwise, if they knew it was Lin Xian, they would vomit blood even more. Give up just like that? Impossible. Let's lure more black turtles and block this door. Let's see how this kid comes out later. We can't let anyone else get what we can't get. One of the disciples revealed a sinister smile. Go and take a look in the distance. See if you can lure other black tortoises over. Soon, the disciples of the Divine Bird Palace moved and flew inside. Not long after, they lured 3 more black turtles. 6 black turtles wandered around the herb garden, while the 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace retreated to the side and waited with sneers on their faces. Chapter 1083. How dare you steal our things? Let's see how you'll die this time. The 4 disciples of Divine Bird Palace smiled sinisterly. In the premium herb garden, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon quickly picked the herbs. Before long, they were done. At this moment, there were only a few scattered spiritual herbs left in the garden. Lin Xian and the other 2 didn't care for these. Forget it, don't pick them. Leave some for the Xian turtle tribe. Lin Xian touched his storage ring and said with a smile. Well, then be merciful and leave some for them. The dark red dragon stopped picking after hearing that. The little white monkey also swished back to Lin Xian's shoulder and nodded. If there were experts from the Xian turtle tribe here, they would definitely vomit blood. Leave some? Fuck, leave some for us. This is all ours, okay? Even the Xian turtle leader's mouth twitched. However, he was already under Lin Xian's control, so he couldn't resist at all. Well, it's about time. Let's go to the next place to search for treasures. Lin Xian clapped his hands in satisfaction. With a flash of his body, he headed to the next location. Outside, the 4 disciples of Divine Bird Palace hid in the dark and stared at the entrance of the herb garden. Suddenly, their expressions changed and they became excited. Damn, they're out. They're really out. Let's see how you'll die this time. The few of them sneered. In their opinion, the 6 black tortoises were too powerful. It was impossible for Lin Xian's team to resist them. I'd like to see what this kid can do. What can he do? He's dead for sure. The 6 Xian turtles are absolutely powerful. That kid can't resist. He deserves it. Who told him to steal our things? The 4 of them discussed quickly as if they had already seen the result they wanted. However, in the next moment, their eyeballs almost fell out because they saw a figure calmly walk out of the herb garden and stride past the 6 Xian turtle guards. The 6 Xian turtle guards were like statues and didn't react at all. Damn it, what's going on? Damn it, are the 6 Xian turtles dead? Why aren't they responding at all? These people were completely stunned. It was as if 10,000 alpacas were running through their minds. This was too strange. They thought that when the other party came out, they would definitely be surrounded by the 6 Xian turtles and killed mercilessly. However, the situation was completely different from what they expected. Not only was the other party not hurt, they didn't even attack. Those Xian turtles stood there motionlessly as if they didn't see anything. Ghost, it must be a ghost. The 4 disciples of Divine Bird Palace went crazy. However, when they saw the silhouette clearly, their hearts trembled and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Why is it that kid's that kid? What? Him. These people went crazy again because they didn't notice that the person who came out was none other than Lin Xian, their sworn enemy. Exxuan Zen's Xians. Damn it, I can't tolerate this. Go, kill him. The elixir is ours. The 4 Divine Bird Palace's disciples' eyes were red. Like crazy rabbits, they rushed up quickly. However, as soon as they went up, the 6 Xian turtle guards in front also moved. They roared and rushed up quickly. In an instant, they stopped the 4 Divine Bird Palace's disciples. Damn it, why are you moving again? Why don't you kill him? But the 4 people roared wildly. They were really crazy. This scene was too much. They were all humans. Why did they let go of Lin Xian and catch them instead? However, no one answered him. Lin Xian merely sneered. As for the 6 black tortoise bodyguards, they immediately began to attack. Suddenly, there was a miserable howl from behind. Lin Xian's body swayed and set off into the depths of the pavilion. Soon, Lin Xian collected a lot of treasures. Half a day later, he left the pavilion with satisfaction. The martial arts disciples outside were even crazier. They collected the treasures crazily and almost turned the building upside down. Lin Xian did not continue to search. Instead, he wandered around. He had disappeared for half a day and had to show his face. Otherwise, it would arouse suspicion. However, as soon as he came out, he saw a few people from the Divine Bird Palace rushing towards him. It's him. He just took the Supreme Herb Garden. Yes, this guy is too despicable. He took our things. The 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace had escaped and were now pointing at Lin Xian with a ferocious expression. They did escape, but they did not get anything at all and were injured. It could be said that they were very unlucky. Now, seeing Lin Xian appear, they were even angrier. So they quickly called the other disciples of the Divine Bird Palace to come and find trouble. They even turned black into white, saying that Lin Xian took their things. Boy, how dare you take our Divine Bird Palace's things? I think you don't want to live anymore. If you know what's good for you, hand it over obediently and we might let you go. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're from the Immortal Martial Academy. Let me tell you, our Divine Bird Palace is not to be trifled with. Hurry up and hand over those supreme herbs. These people were all ferocious as they stared at Lin Xian with fiery eyes. This was because they had already heard from the 4 disciples that Lin Xian had robbed a huge top-grade herb garden. Every single one of the herbs in that garden was extremely precious. Many of them were even extinct in the outside world. This was definitely a huge temptation and wealth. So, these people would not give up. The voices of the 4 were very loud and directly alerted the surrounding people. When the Immortal Martial Academy's disciples saw this, their expressions changed drastically. What's going on? Why are they having a conflict with Lin Xian? I heard that both sides have a grudge, but they shouldn't be having a conflict at this time. Yeah, could there be some other reason? I heard that junior brother Lin took their spiritual herbs and now both sides are arguing. An Immortal Martial Academy disciple said. Junior brother Lin took their spiritual herbs? After the crowd heard this, they were all stunned. But at this moment, Bing Ling and the rest walked over and coldly said, the items here are originally ownerless. Even if there is one, it should belong to the Xian Turtle clan. Then what basis does the Divine Bird Palace have to say that junior brother Lin took their things? They are obviously picking a fight, not putting our Immortal Martial Academy in their eyes. Yi Yan coldly said from the side. They had all gone on missions with Lin Xian before, so they were very supportive of Lin Xian. Fuck, I originally thought that it was a robbery, but now it seems like it wasn't a robbery at all. You guys didn't even see a strand of hair, and you're just randomly spreading rumors? What do you mean, you think that our immortal martial academy is easy to bully? Fuck, you have to give us an explanation, or else don't think that you can fool us so easily. The immortal martial academy disciples were anxious. Both sides had just joined hands and were allies, but now the other side directly shed all pretense of cordiality, wanting to snatch the spiritual herbs from Lin Xian's hands. This was not putting the immortal martial academy in their eyes at all. Thinking of this, the group of immortal martial academy disciples were enraged and glared at the people of Divine Bird Palace with unkind expressions. The countenances of the 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were extremely unsightly, cold sweat trickling down their foreheads, and the expressions of the elders were also extremely dark. They didn't expect that the disciples under them would be so stupid. They didn't even understand these questions, and dared to directly slander Lin Xian. This was simply courting death. Not only that, they were also dragged into the water. Now that they were in such a passive situation, the elders of the Divine Bird Palace felt their faces turning black, as though they were slapped in the face. However, the 4 disciples of the Divine Bird Palace were unwilling to give up. Finally, they gritted their teeth and hurriedly said, "I don't know what method this brat used, but he's actually able to control the black tortoises. I personally saw him swagger past the 6 black tortoises, and those black tortoises attacked us in a frenzy. Yes, that's the reason why we missed out on the spiritual herbs." The disciples of the Divine Bird Palace yelled in a frenzy. However, the Immortal Martial Academy disciples were still laughing coldly. "Doesn't this prove that you guys are useless? Hurry up and scram, don't embarrass yourself here. Wanting to slander junior brother Lin, this is simply an impossible thing." That's right, who is junior brother Lin? He's an influential figure in our Immortal Martial Academy. He can annihilate all of you with just a finger. These people wouldn't even believe a word of the other party. Lin Xian's expression was also indifferent. Although the other party's guess was not far from the truth, and he was indeed able to control the black tortoises, the other party didn't have any evidence, so he wasn't afraid at all. He wanted to see what other methods the other party could use. After hearing this, the elders of the Divine Bird Palace frowned. "What you said, is it true?" "It's true, elder. This is what we saw with our own eyes, there's absolutely no mistake." After hearing this, the elders of the Divine Bird Palace immediately stared at Lin Xian with a cold smile. "Brat, how are you going to explain yourself now? Could it be that you and the black tortoises have some shady dealings?" "No problem, it's a small matter." The group of people laughed. Then, the crowd dispersed again and searched for treasures. Lin Xian did not stop because according to the information he got from the Black Tortoise leader, there was a bigger treasure vault. There was no way he would miss that place. Using the illusory demon steps, Lin Xian turned into a flash of lightning and flew into the distance. However, things did not go as smoothly as he imagined because the treasure vault was discovered. In front of him, there were many people from the Immortal Martial Academy and Divine Bird Palace. They were all here? Lin Xian was incomparably shocked. It seemed that it was impossible for him to take all the treasures alone. At this moment, the people in front also saw Lin Xian. The Immortal Martial Academy did not do anything, but the people from the Divine Bird Palace snorted coldly. Just now, Lin Xian slapped their faces hard. Now that they saw Lin Xian, they were especially jealous. Lin Xian sneered and did not care about the other party's attitude at all. Instead, he walked in with big strides. "Kid, there are enough people here. Go away." Among them, a young man from the Divine Bird Palace snorted. This young man was about 30 years old. His expression was very arrogant. He stared at Lin Xian and spoke unkindly. There was no choice. Although this was a treasure vault, there were only so many things. One more person would mean less things for them. Therefore, the people from the Divine Bird Palace did not want Lin Xian to come in. However, how could Lin Xian care about them? He must enter this place. In front, When the martial artist from the Divine Bird Palace saw that Lin Xian did not stop, his face sank. He snorted coldly and quickly waved his hand. A vigorous energy gushed out. It was incomparably sharp and rushed towards Lin Xian. This palm was very sharp and did not hold back at all. If one was hit, even a fourth heaven venerable would not be able to withstand it. Seeing this scene, the faces of many immortal martial academy disciples changed. They did not expect the people from the Divine Bird Palace to really attack. On the other hand, the disciples from the Divine Bird Palace sneered. They had long disliked Lin Xian. Now that they could teach him a lesson, of course, it would be great. The young man waved his palm and sneered. This is a lesson for you, however. Before he could finish his words, he was stunned. Because in front of him, a sword light flashed and split the sharp palm shadow. Lin Xian was not affected at all and continued to walk forward. What? How is this possible? Seeing this scene, many disciples from the Divine Bird Palace screamed. They did not believe it because the young man was not an ordinary person. He was a genius of the younger generation. Among the fourth heaven venerables, there were few who could match him. Chapter 1086. Everyone was stunned, especially the young man who had attacked before. His face was extremely dark. He did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. He gritted his teeth and was about to attack again. However, when he saw Lin Xian's cold eyes, he suddenly felt fear in his heart. His eyes were too terrifying. They were like two sharp blades that pierced into his heart. For a moment, the young man did not dare to attack again. Lin Xian, on the other hand, snorted coldly and strode forward. This time, the people of the Divine Bird Palace did not dare to attack again. Lin Xian did not pay any attention to them. Instead, he quickly scanned the area. There were so many people here that he could not collect materials wantonly. Therefore, he could only pick one or two of the more precious items to sell. Lin Xian knew that there was a very precious tortoise shell in the treasury from his conversation with the Black Tortoise leader. It was said that it was a tortoise shell passed down from the ancestors of the Black Tortoise tribe. Everyone knew that the Black Tortoise tribe had a strong defense. A tortoise shell passed down from ancient times must have been left behind by a peerless powerhouse in the tribe. Therefore, one could imagine how strong its defense was. Lin Xian wanted to integrate the tortoise shell into his red lotus armor. This would definitely increase his defense greatly. Thinking of this, he was excited. He had to get his hands on this item. In the next moment, he scanned the entire treasury and searched for it. With his outstanding soul power and the information he had obtained from the Black Tortoise leader, Lin Xian quickly found the tortoise shell. However, it was different from what he had imagined. The tortoise shell did not look as powerful as it seemed. It even looked a little ordinary. In this dazzling collection of treasures, it was truly too inconspicuous, and it was even to the extent that it was almost forgotten. This was better. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up slightly. In the next moment, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the quaint tortoise shell. Stop! Suddenly, a cold shout was heard. This voice contained a hint of anger. Immediately after, a majestic energy burst forth and quickly blasted forward, blocking the light palm. Lin Xian frowned when he saw what happened, as it was the Divine Bird Palace that made a move. Although the people of Divine Bird Palace did not know the true origin of the tortoise shell, they did not even take a fancy to the tortoise shell. However, no matter what, they would not easily hand over anything in the treasury to Lin Xian. That was why the scene earlier had occurred. The one who attacked was a woman in red. Although she was pretty, she had a mean look on her face. Her chin was raised like a proud peacock. She was also a heaven's pride of the younger generation of the Divine Bird Palace. Her cultivation was even higher than that of the young man who had attacked before. She was even close to the fifth heaven of venerable. The woman looked at Lin Xian with a murderous look in her eyes. Scram! I want that tortoise shell. Lin Xian's voice was equally cold and sharp. This aggressive attitude directly angered the woman in red and made the faces of the people of Divine Bird Palace turn black. They were a sixth-rank sect, a lofty existence. However, at this moment, a junior was completely disregarding them. How preposterous! However, with the previous example, the woman in red did not immediately attack. Instead, she said coldly, "No one can touch the things here. Let's discuss how to distribute them." Discuss? Distribute? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned and turned to look at Li Yunfei behind him. Li Yunfei's face was also ugly. He was probably arguing with the people of Divine Bird Palace just now. However, he still transmitted his voice to Lin Xian and explained the situation. Because this place was discovered by Divine Bird Palace first, and the two sects joined forces to break the prohibition, Li Yunfei wanted to share it 50-50, but the other side was unwilling. Hearing this, Lin Xian sneered. No matter who discovered it first, since they worked together to break the prohibition, it should be 50-50. But now, Divine Bird Palace was obviously insatiable. Lin Xian did not have a good impression of the people of Divine Bird Palace, and now he was even more disgusted. What's so great about discovering it first? If you have the ability, break it yourself. If you don't have the ability, how can there be such a good thing in the world? Lin Xian sneered. Junior, you're courting death. Hearing this, the people of Divine Bird Palace suddenly shouted. Chapter 1087. The people from the Divine Bird Palace finally aroused the anger of the Immortal Martial Academy disciples. A group of people stared ahead with unfriendly expressions. At this moment, Li Yunfei also said coldly, "We didn't see junior brother Lin make a move, and I believe you guys didn't see it either. I think no one can make a move in front of so many people without being noticed. At least with junior brother Lin's skills, it's impossible. So please control your attitude, or else our Immortal Martial Academy won't be easy to deal with." Hearing this, the people from the Divine Bird Palace snorted, but they didn't say anything, but their expressions were really ugly. Because this was too strange. A treasure had disappeared in front of everyone just like that? Moreover, they didn't think it was possible for Lin Xian to make a move because he didn't have the strength to do so. One had to know that the Divine Bird Palace didn't only have the younger generation, but also the older generation. If it was really Lin Xian who made a move, they should be able to sense it, but now they didn't even notice a trace of abnormality, which meant that Lin Xian's methods were definitely above theirs. Therefore, based on cultivation strength, they ruled out Lin Xian. But in their hearts, they couldn't let go of Lin Xian. Because this was too coincidental, Lin Xian just arrived, and such a thing happened, which made them suspicious. Then what do you think is going on? The woman in red asked. Of course they won't let this matter go. Li Yunfei pondered for a moment and said slowly, to be able to make a move without being noticed, no one here can do it, even the older generation from both sides can't do it. And those black tortoises, it's even more impossible for them to do such a thing. Other than the black tortoises and us, there aren't many people who can be suspicious. Hearing Li Yunfei's words, everyone was stunned, but the people from the Divine Bird Palace were stunned, and then they exclaimed, "You mean that mysterious woman, Zhao Shui?" Zhao Shui was incomparably mysterious, and her strength was even stronger than the older generation. Not only that, she didn't belong to any power, so she was the most likely. In terms of skills, it was very likely to be her. The people from the Divine Bird Palace quickly discussed. Lin Xian was also in a daze. He couldn't figure out how this matter was related to Zhao Shui. However, what made him speechless was that other than Zhao Shui, no one else here had such strength. Shaking his head helplessly, Lin Xian could only mourn for Zhao Shui. However, he was not worried because based on her previous performance, Zhao Shui's strength was too powerful. She was not inferior to those seniors. Therefore, it didn't matter even if these people were suspicious. On the other side, the more the people of Divine Bird Palace thought about it, the more likely it was. They all gnashed their teeth, wishing they could find Zhao Shui and interrogate her. However, they were only angry and did not dare to do so. After all, the other party's strength far surpassed theirs. I thought she was an expert, but I didn't expect her to do such a thing. That's right. Not only did she occupy the largest palace, but now she's secretly attacking our treasures. She's too abominable. Hearing the other party's curses, Lin Xian was completely relieved. These people did not dare to cause trouble for Zhao Shui. In that case, he could take advantage of this opportunity. Little White, get a few more treasures. Lin Xian transmitted his voice. In his sleeve, the snow-white little monkey's big eyes narrowed into crescents. It held the small worn-out bowl and attacked again. Then, a fist-sized purple liquid disappeared. What? The purple demon shark's blood essence disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned, especially those from the Divine Bird Palace. They were going crazy. That was equivalent to the blood essence of a half-step demon king, the most precious thing in this treasury. However, at this moment, it disappeared. That's too evil. This is too much. Give me back my half-step demon king's blood essence. Those from the Divine Bird Palace stomped their feet in anger. They had their eyes on that purple blood essence for a long time. They originally wanted to get it during the negotiation later, but they did not expect it to be gone now. Damn Zhao Shui, you've gone too far. Our Divine Bird Palace and you are irreconcilable. Despicable and shameless, I'm so angry. A few seniors also roared at the sky. Those from the Immortal Martial Academy were also stunned. They did not expect this to happen. However, it was good to see those from the Divine Bird Palace being humiliated. At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Who dares to talk about me behind my back? Along with the voice came a white figure. Zhao Shui. Seeing that figure, everyone was stunned. They did not expect that Zhao Shui was really here. Lin Xian was also stunned. This was too much of a coincidence. Hee, but this is good too. It's a good chance to teach those from the Divine Bird Palace a lesson. Thinking of this, Lin Xian did not attack anymore. Instead, he watched the show. At this moment, Zhao Shui stood in the void, exuding a terrifying aura. Her beautiful eyes stared at those from the Divine Bird Palace. Feeling this terrifying aura, those disciples from the Divine Bird Palace did not dare to speak. Even the people of the older generation were astonished at this moment. Go on, why did you stop? Zhao Shui said coldly. She was just passing by, but she did not expect someone to scold her. How audacious! One must know that she was the one who defeated the expert from the Xian Turtle clan, so everything here belonged to her. And now, someone dared to scold her? Hearing Zhao Shui's words, those disciples from the Divine Bird Palace did not dare to speak. They had no choice. Her aura was too terrifying. It was not something they could resist. Give me a reason, otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Zhao Shui said in a low voice. We don't want to, but there's something missing here. An elder from the Divine Bird Palace told her about the matter. You mean you suspect that I stole it? Zhao Shui's face darkened. In the next moment, a huge force gushed out from her body. It was like a huge mountain wave, crashing down. Boom! The disciples from the Divine Bird Palace were hit and flew out, vomiting blood. Even those seniors retreated in embarrassment. The elder from the Divine Bird Palace was shocked and trembled with anger. She had gone too far. She had gone too far. Zhao Shui ignored him and said coldly, Do I need to steal what I want? Ridiculous. I've always taken what I want. Just like this. With that, she waved her hand and took away a treasure the size of a hill. Then they all went crazy. There's no restriction? Ha! God is helping me. Charge! The group of people went crazy and rushed in. Lin Xian was also surprised. He took a deep breath and his eyes were full of caution because this was too abnormal. How could there be no restriction in such an important place? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.